It's time for Shawn and Maya in the morning.
Quick pitch to Walter, looking for the record, cuts back, he's got it, he's out of it at 25 to the 26-yard line. Walter Payton becomes the National Football League all-time leading rusher.
Jordan, open, Chicago with the lead. The Chicago Bulls have won their 6th NBA championship.
Chicago has won the Stanley Cup. Palmero over the head of Jenks. Uribe charges, throws, out! And the White Sox have won the World Series.
A little bouncer slowly toward Bryant. He will glove it, throw to Rizzo.
It's in time, and the Chicago Cubs win the World Series.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome to Shawn and Maya in the morning on this Hump Day edition. Guys, I'm your boy, the Superback Shawn Sierra, and I am happy as a pig in slop that you're joining us. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Like I said, I think that was the first time I ever used that. Hey, listen, if you're watching this on Facebook Live, well, then I guess you found us on Facebook. Now, if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, and if you're not, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Then I guess you found us on YouTube. If you're watching this on our app, then I guess you found us on our app. And if you haven't downloaded the app, make sure you download the app. Now we want you to get interactive with us today. So do us a favor, wherever you're watching this from. Okay, you see a question or comment right on the right where you're watching us from, and our Puerto Rican Swiss Army knife himself, Ivan, will put it up there, and we'll discuss. So we want to get interactive. We want you to be part of the show. You can also tweet us. So you can tweet us at SM_mornings or at SportsZone Shy. That's CHI at SportsZone Shy. Now, if you want to follow me, just me, personally, I want to know what I did. Let me tell you what I did. Want to know what I did? Here's what I did. I made a nice sneezy for you folks. Nice sneezy. One handle for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, the Snapall. All one handle at the Shawn Sierra. And oh yeah, baby, she is back. She is my co-pilot in this insanity, my co-host, the one, the only, the incomparable, the stupendous, the superlative, the one, the only, Maya Akai. What up, Maya?
Hello, Chicago.
How you doing? How you doing?
It's been a long time. I shouldn't have kept you.
Yes.
Oh, you know what? I've been gone like for 3 weeks, but I have to say I'm kind of glad because I think there's been a lot of anxiety over the last 3 weeks, especially with sports has now dwindled back down to just like really one sport.
Uh-huh.
And all those, you made me promises you knew you'd never keep, Bears. Yeah, see, I told you. Don't get me wrong, though. My side team, ain't doing much better either. So I'm kind of like, just a free agent right now.
She's out hooking up wherever she can. Hooking up with any NFL team. Hey, you can always go to the Raiders. They're a new kid on the block. To the Vegas Raiders. You like them?
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice. That stadium was nice. No, they're not quite my cup of tea. I know it's the bad boys. Not quite my cup of tea. I haven't figured it out yet.
Okay.
But it was a good Vikings win. I enjoyed it. They beat Green Bay. So you know what?
Oh, huge.
I enjoyed that win. I was like, you may not be playing well right now, but I'll take this win. And Bears, maybe you should take a note from what you saw the Vikings do with Green Bay. Just saying.
Maya, stop it. That would mean that they actually care about winning. Stop.
Well, you said it, not me, and you're far more committed than I am. So
I am, and I'm really disappointed in our Bears, and we're going to talk a lot about that today. And they've gotten it from me, so I have no qualms about it because the things that are wrong with them are evident. I mean, they're just plain as day, and it just won't why don't you get linemen? Why?
Let's talk to that when we get there because there's a lot for us to really talk about. There is. So.
Oh my God, you're right. Yeah. There is.
There is.
Well, I want to bring him out real quick. So I know he's got some stuff to do. He is the man behind the curtain. He is the whiz. He is our Puerto Rican Swiss Army knife. He's the guy who makes it all run. Ivan Vargas. Ivan, what's up, Papa?
Good morning, guys. What's up, Maya? Welcome back.
I know. Welcome back.
if I had the means to play that, I would have played that song.
If anybody, only people within a certain age demographic is going to know that. They're going to be like, what is she
No, because don't forget Mace made
Mace
made that song when he came back from being a preacher. So they might think, Maya's a Mace fan. Like, no, it's Welcome Back, Cotter.
Right. Which, by the way, I'm always surprised that nobody's attempted to actually kind of redo that. They redo everything else. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Okay.
So, I told you we have a great show. We want you to get interactive. All right. But here's what we got. At 10 o'clock, our guy, Lauren Cox, is calling in. We're going to talk a little Bears with him because he's another guy with a great pulse on the Bears. And he's very objective when it comes to their analysis, his analysis of them. And we have a lot to talk about, this offensive line, this quarterback situation, this wide receiver situation, the defense that you're going to keep wearing down this defense, this championship defense that you have, is there finally going to be admit that there's friction between Foles and Nagy? I mean, what's going on? Does Allen Robinson even want a long-term deal here now with all the nonsense going on? I don't know.
Man,
I don't even know.
I feel like you're the narrator at the beginning, like at the end of a good TV show, and it's about to be continued, and you're like, "What's going to happen?" All these questions. Find out next week on the Chicago Bears. It's just like
tune in next week.
they are a reality show, and it actually would probably be pretty titillating. Tell you the truth.
Ooh, I like titillating.
I figured you'd like that anyway.
Good looking out, Maya. Good looking out. So Lauren Cox at 10 o'clock today calling in. We're going to talk a lot more Bears with Lauren Cox. Well, guys, you know how we do the first segment of every show. It's called Top of the Morning to you, and these are the hot topics of the night before, just sports in general. And boy, oh boy, do we have some doozies. And with that, by the way, the Top of the Morning segment is powered by the Chicago Crusader. And with that, we want to bring in our guy. He looks like he's going hiking or something like that. He's got a jacket on and a hat. My God, he looks like he's ready to go. Okay. It is going to be 65 degrees out. You know that, right?
I was just about to say, okay, you're a little too young to be dressed like an elderly person. They would be dressed like this right now because it's been cold. So yes, bring him on. Where is he going dressed like this?
It's our guy you can find him on Twitter at ACA Joe. Bring him out, the sports editor over at the Chicago Crusader, Joe Phillips. Joseph, what's up, Papa?
Good morning, Papa. God bless.
You not paying the heat over there? What?
What's going on?
Just rocking the vest and the hoodie. Something I wore out in New York City. So.
I was just about to ask you that. You got your New York flow going? Because,
yes, sir.
New York, you wear a vest all the time.
Okay. So all the hating comments like you're dressed like an elderly person, it's actually style. So,
okay.
And welcome back, Maya.
Joseph, don't you go
Maya fashion?
Exactly. Okay, but I wasn't the only person who said, "Why is he overdressed?"
No, I'm not overdressed. It's just it's a fashion statement. That's all.
But are you rocking it to 100? Or you got the Timbs on?
I got them. Let me show you what I got on.
Let me see what you got on.
I got the mics on. I got
you can always.
This is the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air Jordans.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Yeah. You can never go wrong with Jordans. Okay.
Yeah. So it's the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air Jordans. I know what I'm doing. Trust me. I got this.
Oh, you got it? Okay.
I got it. I got this, Poppy, Mommy.
New York is still real strong with you. I can tell. I can say.
Very strong. I see other teams are strong with you too. Arizona, Baltimore, who else?
Vegas.
See all over the place, man.
Seattle.
You can't be a Bears fan talking like that, man. You can't be sleeping around with other teams. That's nasty.
Well, she only got one other team that she's with, and they're not cutting the mustard right now either. So,
and we have history together, so
Yeah, we gotta get rid of them. We gotta get rid of them. You need to be faithful.
No,
she's faithful to her two teams.
You're right. I'm not even taking somebody else into the fold. It's like, God, this is awful. You both are awful. But
yeah, we gotta stay with our awful men until they get good. That's how it goes, right?
Story of some woman's life, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Loyalty, baby, loyalty. That's all.
Oh,
That's
cue
how
it up.
marriage.
Cue it up,
Actually,
Ivan.
that's how
These
marriage
things
works.
ain't loyal.
That's how marriage works.
Girl, you better cue up some Chris Brown real quick.
These girls ain't
see,
loyal.
Now, Chris Brown is that's a different story. He's crazy. He's
Oh
crazy.
man. So Joseph, I know this has got to be like pushing your creativity because we've hit that sports wasteland again. You know what I mean? Because obviously we're just down to football. So what are you writing about on the Crusader? What's going on?
Oh man, I'm actually just covering a lot of the Bears coverage. Doing a lot of Bears games individually, which gives you a lot to talk about. Also, a few charity events, and also college football. So I just did a story on University of Illinois. I don't know if you guys saw the game on Saturday, the Purdue versus Illinois game. It was a pretty good game. Actually, Lovely almost pulled off a comeback. They just fell a little short, just like the Bears.
Don't call it a comeback. I've been sucking for years. No, I'm just kidding.
That's how Illinois teams. They wear the same colors too, orange and blue. So
look, I can't. You know what? Everybody I root for sucks. Iowa sucks, but I knew they were going to suck. So I have nothing to root for. I'm waiting for baseball next year, and even that seems to be making me a little anxious. But that's another story.
Yeah, I can't wait for us to get into that a little later, Maya, because we definitely want to get your take on our new manager. And you like those old Italian guys, like, don't go against the family, Maya. Don't go against the family.
But see, no, I didn't particularly. That's not a hire that I wanted. I don't think it's the right fit. But we'll talk about that, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
You're not leaving the White Sox, are you?
Oh no.
Okay,
that is the one team I am absolutely faithful to. Like there is, even when they were bad. Seriously.
Yeah, we stuck through.
I've always been there. I know you
got everybody on the clock right now. You like, hey, you don't get this together by this day, it's over.
Now, see, the problem with your baseball team is because there's so many games, like they really dig. It becomes visceral. You know what I mean? Because there's so many games that you watch and you get involved in a close game here, and then they blow someone out here, and like, and then it's a close game here, a close loss. Like we need to do this, and this game after game after game after game after game after game. It's very difficult just to jump ship on a baseball team because of the amount of games and the amount of the emotional roller coaster that we have. I mean, unless you're a really good team, and even the Yankees have had their struggles, the Red Sox have had their struggles, but once you're invested in the team, it's really, really difficult to switch just because it's a visceral part of your life at that particular point. And I wasn't happy with the move at all, but I'm still a White Sox fan till I die, and we'll talk about. Yeah. Actually,
but my one side team did actually give me something I was happy about. So the Dodgers.
They finally came through.
So I at least got some small joy, at least in 2020, from a sports standpoint. So no, White Sox. I'm never going to waver in that at all.
And nor should you, Maya. Nor should you. Well, guys, let's get right to it. The first top of the morning topic. Wow. The White Sox have a few postseason award finalists, and we'll start out with the winner chicken dinner. Luis Robert wins the Gold Glove Award for center field, the first of many to come, we hope. There were other nominees, 4 other nominees, if I'm not mistaken, for the White Sox. Yoel Moncada was at third. He lost out to Isaiah Kidner Falefa, second baseman Danny Mendick. Mm-hmm. Okay, he was a Gold Glove nominee. He lost out to Cesar Hernandez. And ain't this some ish? We got 2 out of the 3 catchers, Maya. Yasmani Grandal and James McCann, and then Robert Perez. 2 out of 3. We got a 66% chance of winning the Gold Glove, and we lose out to Robert Perez. So, but you know what? That just shows that our defense was better this year. Just to be nominated for those types of deals is to become a Gold Glove finalist is not an award that's just given out.
Okay, let me just ask this question because I'm always going to be open-minded about this. I'm going to take Luis Roberts getting it, but to be honest, I was impressed with his play, but I didn't personally feel that it was Golden Glove worthy. Again, I feel there was a little bit of built-in hype into this. I'm just being honest, and I was like, really? Because if I look at McCann, who clearly was better than Grandal, And it's part of the reason that the Sox got as far as they got. You know what I'm saying? For him not to win it, but for Lewis Roberts to win, I know different positions. That makes no sense to me. And I'm not trying to discount his talent because I don't think we've even seen where he's going to go. I just don't feel that was a 100% Golden Glove performance. There's too much hype around him, and it's not that it's not warranted. It's hype is not fair because he does live up. Even though there were times he didn't do well at the plate, he would give up, and you could tell. You know what I'm saying? He would be a little too overzealous in situations, but that's the maturity piece. I was impressed with him, but I'll be honest. I also saw Adam Engel when he was playing center field do some stuff that was amazing. You know what I'm saying? So I just kind of feel like, here we go. Everyone's giving him too much, too soon, too fast. That's just how I feel about it. But I'm gonna take the accolade. Somebody got to get something. So go ahead. What is chocolate self?
Hey, what better thing could you guys could ask for a Golden Glove in a short season like this? Luis Robert, like I said, he came in with the hype. He was almost better than his height.
Almost.
Almost.
For the first half of the season, he was better than his height. The first half, he was definitely better.
Yeah.
And then he fell off a cliff.
Yeah, then he hit that Mendoza line. What I'm saying is that at the end of the day, congratulations to you guys on a huge accomplishment. Jose Abreu, possibly an MVP candidate, Luis Robert, Rookie of the Year candidate. Ricky Renteria, even though he's out the door, Manager of the Year. I like how y'all didn't even admit to that, but Manager of the Year candidate. So
I didn't get to that yet, Joseph. I didn't get to it. Don't worry.
Y'all made him disappear.
Oh, you know what? But disappeared. But now I'm like, but what appeared may not be the right thing. But that's neither here nor there. Got to have some drama. You know what? I guess you got to keep drama somewhere. I guess in the situation. So I guess they decided we'll keep it right here. So
right. They're gonna take credit.
But I'd like to put a conspiracy theory out there. I want to put it out here early. So put it out there early so that when we get to this topic, people can tell me what they think. I have a sinking suspicion. The reason that Don Cooper was let go because him and La Russa, that's like two, and that wouldn't go mix.
Yeah, it's like oil and water.
Seriously, it wasn't going to mix. And I think, honestly, they already knew they were going with La Russa before they even announced it. Hence, they squashed the Ozzy conversation very quickly, which I found insulting because he brought you a World Series. Right. What did La Russa bring you? But that's another story. But think about it. Do you think they already knew they were going to hire La Russa?
Yeah.
And they knew they had to clean house, which means Don Cooper, that's two Italians. That wasn't going to work. And Don wasn't going to deal with La Russa like that. They knew they were picking him long before they made the announcement.
Well, they were, because Ozzy Jr. came on and told us that before they called Ozzy a couple of days before they made the announcement. They called Ozzy. He was on the show, and he said that they called him a couple of days before the announcement, and they said that they were letting Renteria go, and that he wasn't going to be a candidate. Then Ozzy just said it. He said it on a podcast, and he said it on other outlets. But Bob Nightingale told us exactly why Ozzy's never getting a job in Major League Baseball, and he said the reason is everything's scripted. Everything is
Wait,
the front office.
Bob was back on.
Bob Nightingale, yeah.
I missed Bob again.
You missed Bob again.
Oh.
But man, Bob dropped a nugget, a big time nugget, and he said he goes, everything's scripted. He goes, so now the front office, the general manager and those analytics guys, those are the pretty boys. Those are the guys who make all the money now, because now you see the managers are getting $1 million, $2 million max. These guys are getting 4, 6, 8, 10, wherever your level of experience is. He said they make all the calls. He said, you look at Snell. When Snell got taken out, that's analytics. That's analytics.
But you see how that worked against them.
That's exactly.
We talk about sabermetrics all the time. How good old-fashioned baseball cannot just absolutely be sidelined because of sabermetrics. We saw that with Adam. What was his name? Adam Swamp Donkey. That was his nickname. That's so funny. I can remember his nickname. Adam. We got from the name. Done. Everything about sabermetrics says that he was supposed to be the right fit power hitter, and he got to Chicago and just tanked. Mm-hmm. So I can respect sabermetrics, but you don't. To me, it's that intuitiveness about people who understand traditional baseball and how it works.
But here's what Bob said. He said the reason that Ozzy won't get a job is because since everything's scripted, he goes, one, they don't trust Ozzy in the media. He might just say how he feels, and we know that. We know Ozzy doesn't bite his tongue for anybody. And two, he might do things his own way. He may say, like, if that was Snell. if he was pitching and if he was managing in Snell, he wouldn't have taken him out, even though it would have called those sabermetrics. Those metrics would have called for him to come out. He would have been like, no, I have eyes. I need to see. He got one out, gave up one base hit. I'm not pulling this guy out. And that's the thing, is that they don't want them going off script. Everything is scripted. Everything. He goes, so when you sit there and you yell at managers and you sit there and go, this guy's an idiot, he has nothing. He has nothing to do with that. Those are all front office decisions.
You know what?
That the manager have to go along with.
Did we pull that segment and repost it on our YouTube page or on Facebook? Because that's a good clip to repost, and I want to repost that if we didn't, because that's interesting. Because you know what that tells me? Then we have a bunch of idiots that are our statisticians. Because what the hell were they telling Renteria to do if he wasn't supposed to go off strip, whatever? That means he was doing what he was told. So now, do we still have these same idiots calling the shots? If that's the case, if that's the way that Major League Baseball is going, then why the hell did we bother to fire the lights of Renteria? Because La Russa is old school. Matter of fact, he's really been out of baseball since sabermetrics kind of took hold and is running away with everything. So why do you go get a guy who in his own mindset is more antiquated and traditional? And what, is he going to be your puppet? I don't see La Russa being a puppet. He wasn't when he was here before.
Well, don't forget, he's been working in front offices, so he's been in those decision-making roles. Like, okay, here's what I want. With this guy, this pitcher, I want, he's facing X amount of batters today, regardless of such and such. If he gets in trouble, if he gets 2 base hits and after a certain amount, he's getting pulled. So he's been making those decisions in the front office. So so you're just going to have an extension of the front office down on the field with him, because he's already been doing that with he was with Arizona and he was with Boston. So he's already been doing that, and to have him down there again is just an extension of the front office.
But I'm gonna tell you something. I think it's easier said than done, Shawn. I think when you're in the front office and you're calling the shots, but it's different when you're in the thick of it and your intuition and your gut is telling you one thing, but they want the numbers to tell you something else. I want to see how he's going to respond to those challenges when his gut is telling him, I know what the numbers say, but right now I know what I'm seeing, like the eye test we talk about. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
I want to see how he navigates those waters.
And this looks like a rerun of Jerry Reinsdorf and Jerry Cross a little bit, like the baseball version. And how Cross was, he did everything Mr. Reinsdorf told him to do. And when he did that, he was rewarded with little things, So I think that with La Russa, it's going to be the same thing, with Mr. Reinsdorf. It's going to be his eyes in the back of his head. And then in addition to that, with that comes always a locker room snitch. There's going to be somebody on the team who reports back to La Russa, and La Russa's going to report back to Reinsdorf, and then you're going to see the consequences stand down. I don't know who that snitch is going to be.
Yeah, I'm curious who that's going to be.
I know on the Bulls team, I knew who it was. On White Sox, I don't know.
I don't know if that's going to be. I mean, who's going to report to Reinsdorf? That's Reinsdorf's boy. That's Reinsdorf's boy. So it's not. I think that's you and your best friend putting him in managerial position. So no one's going to go around to if you want to get at Tony La Russa, no one's going to do that. That's his dude. That's his dude. They're like brothers, and he said this on multiple occasions. So no, it's not going to be a snitch. Like this is going to be the guy who, if anything, goes to Reinsdorf. This is going to be the guy who, if the numbers, and I feel if the numbers say do a certain thing, and he can just say, hey, listen, I'm a Hall of Fame manager. I got 3 World Series under my belt. I want to keep this guy in a little longer.
But do you guys think that there's some division there because the way they treated Rick Hahn? I believe that there's some guys in that locker room that are pro Rick Hahn, and then there's some guys that may be pro Reinsdorf, maybe. And this can be a problem during the season if it's not addressed properly. I think Reinsdorf should publicly come out to help restore the reputation of Rick Hahn, especially after all the hard work he did.
It doesn't matter. They know he made this deal.
We Cub fans are going to talk about these things. I'm just saying, I know it doesn't matter. You guys are sweeping under the table, but it's still out there. What I'm saying is that we know how Reinsdorf get down. He disrespected Rick Hahn
big time,
and that fight has just begun.
It's okay, but here's how this is how it's going to probably pan out. No. Rick Hahn will be wanted around MLB.
Yes, he will.
So what you have just done is, and I'm with him, disrespect me the minute I can make a move. And this is my I'm leaving. And he's going to go someplace else. So the bottom line is that you better hope while he's still here that La Russa was the right choice, that he wins you a World Series, that he was the right fit. Because right now, I don't hold Rick Hahn accountable for that choice. So whatever happens in that position is totally on Reinsdorf. It's not on Rick Hahn and me. And when he decides to leave, I totally respect his decision, because guess what? La Russa has a reputation. People have already said they're not coming to Chicago. So we already had this flow of people. I mean, good players were on Chicago's radar, especially with like, Chicago's up and coming. But Russa is not that well liked, so to speak, among players. So now you've just we finally got past the stigma of being the redheaded stepchild in the city because people saw what we were doing. And now you put another roadblock in, and you better hope that everything that's on this team is good enough, but pitching is not good enough. It's not good enough. We really could use one more ace. And those veterans are like, I ain't effing with La Russa. They've already said it. So thank you for that. I mean, you just now have put another stumbling block in place that doesn't need to be there.
I agree with you. I feel like this is, I mean, it's Barry's fingerprints all over this thing. And it's I get it. It might be this last push, this last run with his White Sox, with his beloved White Sox. So he wants a World Series, but to go ahead and get your homeboy, you know what I'm saying? It just looks like you want your homeboy to win the World Series. Like you want this storybook, like right out into the sunset ending for Tony. It didn't seem like it was it didn't seem business at all. It seemed like it was a personal decision to go ahead and bring Tony in because of maybe the relationship between him and Jerry, the past.
We know why, because he got fired by Hawk Harrelson, and he wanted to make it right. That's all. That's the only reason, because they had plenty of times to hire him at other times and they didn't do it. But this is the time that he had, and said, okay, here. Now we got a great team. We got a tons of young talent. We're a couple pieces away coming. And I'll tell you what. Here's the one thing that we don't, that I can guarantee you. I can guarantee all of you is that he's not going to let his boy fail. So I can guarantee you that purse book, that checkbook is going to open up, because he's going to go get a number 1, 2, or 3 starter, anyone that's in the top 3, and so to make sure that his guy, that he doesn't struggle or leave Tony La Russa hanging. So he's going to go get a good pitcher. He'll let Rick Hahn go get a good pitcher, and then if La Russa says, hey, I need McCann to stay, then he'll open the checkbook for McCann too. But right now La Russa's got all the leverage, because he's not going to be allowed to fail. So whatever La Russa wants, La Russa can get. So that's all he's got to say. Keep McCann. They'll go sign him to whatever they want. If they give me a legit 1, 2, or 3 starter, and they're going to go get a legit 1, 2, or 3 starter.
I think like I said, I agree with mine. I think they alienated Rick Hahn. Like he didn't allow. Like this was supposed to be Rick Hahn's team. It's Rick Hahn's team through and through, except for the manager.
Right.
It sounds like the Bears made the same mistake with that when they just picked Rick. They picked up John Fox opposed to letting Nagy do his thing. Not that he would necessarily do the right thing. Right. Pace. I'm sorry, do the right thing. But it's just everything about this is wrong to me. I need for Reinsdorf to get past a friends and family plan.
Yes.
Because he keeps doing this shit. And the thing is, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say he went and got someone who is incompetent. That's not it. Because he's not incompetent. That's not it. My biggest issue is I don't feel he's going to connect with those players. I felt something was in place. Now I'm like, you could have given me Hinchikora and I've been all right. If you'd have told me that's what you was going to give me, I would take all of the backlash that would have come. Because I'll be honest, I really wanted Alomar. I really wanted another Latino manager. I really did, because of how the team is constructed. I'm not trying to be biased. I'm not saying that someone white or black can't do it. But we talk about language barriers and cultural pieces that play into this. That's a piece that could really be a big part of the ebb and flow of it. And I thought, even though I was so disappointed in Cora, but Hinch got a job. Watch you see that team perform differently. But it was the shame we had to deal with that I didn't want. But if you would have told me La Russa is what I had to deal with, I'm like, oh, no, you can go get one of them. I'd rather have
Maya and Shawn, I believe like Tony's going to micromanage this team. I believe he's going to micromanage 101. When it comes to keeping guys in line, laying down the law, etc. But one thing you don't want is division in the locker room. And those guys, you need to identify right now who are Rick Hahn's guys and what guys belong to the organization. Because if Rick Hahn promised them something, like say for example, what's the guy name who's out right now? The starting pitcher who had the Kopech. Okay. So Rick Hahn went to him after he decided to opt out of the season. He says, hey, look, we're not going to trade you. Okay, focus on your mental situation, and I believe in you, and I trust in you.
You get your chicken.
Right. Take care of your business.
Take your mental.
Take your mentals. We
right. And Rick Hahn's word is his bond. Exactly. Rick Hahn's word is his bond. But now it looks like Rick Hahn's word, you see what I mean? Like it doesn't carry any weight or any power.
No, because that's a poor example. I'm not following.
No. Let me finish my thought. What I'm saying is that because Rick Hahn was he's built such a close bond with these guys. He traded for these guys. He made moves for these guys. He went to these guys' houses. And now with that power and authority taken out of his hand, they feel that they can't just go to him for personal issues. You see what I mean? Like LaRussa don't care about stuff like that. LaRussa's gonna be like, look, if you're here in this locker room, you're playing today. I don't want to hear about any ailments, any issues, any mental issues. You're going out there to play because he's real old school. You see what I mean? If you got the uniform on, you get to play.
Here's the thing. I think they will go to Rick Hahn because with Cooper being gone and Renteria being gone, Rick Hahn is kind of the next thing in line, and they're not going to probably make a big deal out of it unless LaRussa somehow has better management skills than I think he does from a personal level, but he doesn't strike me as having being able to. I've never heard a player say that LaRussa was the guy they love playing for. You know what I'm saying? Or that he's like a players type manager. I've never really heard that about him. So unless he's gotten soft or different in his old age, I don't know.
But we've never heard people say that he was a jackbag to play for either.
No, I haven't. That's what I'm saying. We only looked at his demeanor, and you were like, So we'll have to see how it goes. I can't say when he was here I disliked him, but that was a different.
Yeah, that was like 30-some years ago.
but that was also a white.
We're like 12.
But here's the thing, though. But that was also like a White Sox team. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. That was a White Sox team. So this is a different team culturally. There's lots of different elements and moving parts here. And that's the part that I don't know how much he's going to relate to that. And my thing is, I want to see how he's going to deal with Louis Robert. Matter of fact, right. Louis Robert might learn about his reputation and he might change because of it. Like, yeah, this is a guy who's not really big on, you know what I'm saying? Maybe he will make certain people play differently. He may alienate people. I don't think it's so much about if they're a Rick Hahn person, it's much of how many people in that locker room were they really Ricky's boys. You know what I'm saying?
I think this is Reinsdorf's final Chicago way nepotism hire. He's been doing this stuff for years. I think this is his last go around when it comes to bringing on someone that's just close to him versus just making winning plays, winning baseball. Because my whole thing is with the Bulls, they came out and said, you know what, from here on out, it's not about looking out for people's ex-wives and somebody's nephew, somebody's cousin. It's not about putting them over the organization's goals. Now, that same mentality is switched over to the White Sox. It's like, okay, we're not doing it with the Bulls anymore, but we're going to do it.
Wait, hold on. Wait. It's a 50-50 though, because, okay, let me just say this. I'm more concerned about LaRussa's ability to manage the personality, you know what I'm saying, of the team. I don't question, excuse me, ladies, could you calm down? I don't know if you could hear that, but anyways, I'm more concerned about that, not his ability to manage. The man is a World Series winner.
Hall of Famer.
He didn't go get somebody that has not been there, done that. My question is his style of been there, done that, will it fit this team, which to me is young and vibrant and energetic, and they're really still excited and they're enjoying it? Does inserting him in that mix, is it the right chemistry? That's my concern, not his ability.
One last thing before we go to break. Let's go to break and we'll come back and figure this. But just one last thing before we go to break, Maya, he is fluent in Spanish. So he's been fluent in Spanish for many years now. So that's one thing that'll really help him get to and through.
Okay, that's good.
To the players. Listen, we got to take a quick break, and on the other side, we have more top of the morning topics. Don't go anywhere. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago.
BoomerNaturals.com presents the Sports Flash on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone. Northern Illinois is set to open the season tonight along with the rest of the MAC. NIU is set to host Buffalo tonight with the game televised on ESPN2. The rest of the league slate includes Eastern Michigan at Kent State, Akron hosting Western Michigan, Ohio is at Central Michigan, Miami's hosting Ball State, Bowling Green will be at Toledo. Another game has been canceled in the Big Ten Conference for football. Purdue and Wisconsin this weekend has been called off due to coronavirus cases within the Wisconsin football program. It's the second straight week the Badgers have canceled the game after they canceled last week against Nebraska. Boilermakers are 2-0 and will play Northwestern November 14th. Boomer Naturals delivers breathable protective face masks for kids and adults. Save 20% with promo code SPORTS at boomernaturals.com. I'm John Thayer on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents and Doug.
Fasten your seatbelts, folks. We'll be prepared for takeoff.
Limu, how cool is this? Your first time flying. Oh, I didn't mean... Listen, Limu, you might not be able to fly, but you do something even cooler. You tell strangers that Liberty Mutual customizes their car insurance so they only pay for what they need.
Sir, do you have a certificate for your service bird?
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Get a customized quote at libertymutual.com.
I'm Dr. Baker, an ER physician. If you're having leg pain, swelling, or redness, but haven't talked to your doctor yet, don't wait. This could be deep vein thrombosis, a blood clot which could travel to your lungs and lead to a pulmonary embolism, which could cause chest pain or discomfort or difficulty breathing and be deadly. Your symptoms could mean something serious, so don't wait. Talk to a doctor right away by phone, online, or in person.
Brought to you by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. Before we went to break, we had a heated discussion talking to the White Sox. So Joseph, what was your point before we right before break?
No, I think we can all agree this is probably the final nepotism hire or Chicago way hire by Mr. Reinsdorf. You know, he had to go out the way he came in. You know, so I'm not surprised.
Let me ask this, because I try to be really as open-minded about these things as I can be, objective about it. If La Russa and Reinsdorf were not good friends, would you take exception to the hire, either one of you?
Yes.
I'm just okay, because I wanted to say, is it part of our exception the fact that you feel like he went and he put us back in the friends and family plan again, and we want to, we don't want to have that happen. No, I don't. Because we can't say that he's not qualified for the job. We can't discount him and say he's not qualified, because he is. I just feel from a chemistry, I'm glad he can speak Spanish. It's probably Castilian Spanish, but anyways.
Hey, they got Dominican, Cuban, Puerto Rican, and Mexican Spanish on that team too. So
no. He probably knows Castilian Spanish is what you learn in high school. It's Spanish. It's Spaniard.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. You have accents from Dominican Republic, Cuba. Right, that's what I'm saying. Different types of.
Here's what's funny.
Accents.
You won't be able to say nothing behind his back because he'll know what you're saying. Like, what? I heard what you said, Louis. I'll talk to you after. So they won't get to talk about him. So that's funny. But I'm more concerned about the chemistry. Because Ricky, for a lot of these players, think about it, Ventura to Ricky, soft, easygoing, you know what I'm saying, type managers. La Russa is really machismo. He's strong. You know what I mean? I don't know how this is going to work. And it's not that we have people that aren't manageable, but I just hope they don't bump heads, that they can balance. I'm just more concerned about chemistry, not necessarily ability.
See, Ozzy in a podcast, in another podcast, Ozzy was talking about that this is the best hire the White Sox could have made, and he was saying because one, obviously, his credentials are second to none, actually second to one. That's it. But in addition, the fact that he demands the best out of you, and I'm okay with that. If that's the reason, like I'm okay with demanding the best out of Eloy. I'm okay with demanding the best out of Louis Robert. And if it ruffles your feathers that he gets in your face and he treats you like a man and they're used to be being coddled, then grow the hell up, because this is you're making millions of dollars. All right, Robert, they were $52 million into you before you took a one swing in a batter's box at Sox Park. right? They're $52 million into you with 26 bonus and 26 million in fines they had to pay for you. So if someone comes down a little tough on them, I'm okay with that. Grow the hell up. I think that someone like Jose Abreu is going to be the guy to say, hey, listen, is he wrong? Is he wrong? Because they're going to probably, they may be a little annoyed. But you know what? When all of a sudden, when they start winning, if he can help Tim Anderson stop booting those routine ground balls and continue to make those phenomenal ones, now we have a Gold Glove at shortstop. Because this is the thing. I think the guy is really his fundamentals is what he's going to really focus on and stop playing around. He's okay with people expressing themselves as long as it doesn't interfere with you winning. If your fundamentals take a back seat to you showboating, then there's an issue. So make sure your fundamentals are good, they're strong, they're solid, and everything else will take care of itself. And then I think that's the issue. So yeah, he might rub people the wrong way because initially, but you know what? Grow the hell up. Grow the hell up.
And I don't take exception to that. I don't, because that's one of the parts that we complained about with Renteria. We felt like he couldn't reel them back in when clearly they were making mistakes and still being too jovial. We felt like he didn't kind of set those boundaries. Well, we know La Russa's going to put boundaries in. I'm just hoping they're not going to be too rigid for this very vivacious team, so to speak, because I don't want the morale to drop. I don't want them to lose like that kind of sense of camaraderie they had because they felt suffocated. That's the only thing I'm concerned about, which means probably for him, he needs to sit down with every single person and have a conversation. Seriously.
On Zoom.
On Zoom.
No, really, it needs to be one-on-one. Nobody said you can't meet in person, but it'd be good for him to sit down with every person one-on-one and talk about his philosophy, expectations, ask them what they thought about the season. Here's what I think, and obviously he has to talk people up. He has to, because that's part of the whole process, but at least set some expectations from the beginning, because I'm just concerned that his demeanor is really like, but we also talked that Ozzy would pretty much be the same way. He'd give you boundaries, but he would also like get you together. But sometimes Ozzy's kind of reprimanding you is different than La Russa's reprimanding you. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a different feel about it. So as long as it doesn't mess with the chemistry, because that's my concern, and I'm glad he can't speak Spanish. I didn't know that. Then I'm okay with it because he's qualified, he's competent, and he's proven.
It's almost like it's almost like a ball player playing for a coach overseas, a winning coach overseas. They need you to understand two things: score the ball and win the game. That's it. There's nothing else to talk about. So.
No, I don't agree with you, Joe, because he hasn't won overseas. He's won World Series.
No. I was just giving an example of how ball players go overseas and they have to play in winning programs, and most of the guys don't speak English. But
okay, that's what you're saying.
You know what I mean? So I was just saying that it's the same thing over here. You're coming to America, you may not speak the greatest English, but you do need to understand two things: play good and win ball games. And if you could do that, then we will have no language barriers there.
Well, let's moving on to the next top of the morning topic. We're going to stay with Gold Glove Awards. Anthony Rizzo and your boy Maya. Hey, Javi Baez win the Golden Glove for their respective positions. It was Javi's first, especially after he was robbed last year, I believe.
That position was part of the Javi Baez shuffle. That was that position that was just up there. Yeah, just
The Cubs had 5 other finalists. Nico Horner lost to Colton Wong. Wilson Contreras lost to Tucker Bernhard. Jay Hay lost to Mookie Betts, and Kyle Hendricks and Alec Mills lost to Max Fried. So again, you had quite a few Gold Glove finalists on the north side, and congratulations to the 2 Chicago Cubs who got it, Anthony Rizzo and your boy Javi Baez.
That's right.
Hey, V.
You got get that Javi shuffle in. No. Yeah, no, deservedly so. So I have no complaints about that whatsoever. Right there, done.
Yeah, I mean he's one of those guys who should be in there every year. It's not. And this is where we're trying to get Tim Anderson to, if he can make those routine ground balls and to bring his fielding percentage up. And it just looks bad. It's not just the fielding percentage. It's just when you boot routine ground balls. You're like, man, dude, you can't, that has a bigger impact on people who are watching the game and watching it than just looking at the actual percentage, because your percentage might be high.
Right.
Okay. But it's the sixth inning, you're up 3, and a double play gets you out of the game, and you boot one to allow runs to score and take the lead. Those are the things that you just can't have. So, if Tim Anderson can get to the point where Javi is, and just be a perennial, he's already got the stick.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. Yes.
And he's got phenomenal range, and he makes phenomenal, unbelievable plays that many shortstops can't make.
Yes.
Okay. But it's the routine, it's the fundamentals. And if he can shore that up, I think that's going to be great.
It'll be curious, to kind of, as we're like out of baseball season for a while, I feel like I'm going to be in like, I'm in sports purgatory now. Until spring comes back around, and who knows, I don't think we'll see a spring training. So it is not from a fan standpoint. I think they'll still get together and maybe do some things. But I'll be curious. I mean, we know the White Sox have to make some moves on the mound and stuff, but I want to see what the Cubs are going to do. Because I think this is one of those seasons that challenged them on different levels. I think there was some unhappiness in the dugout, so to speak. I don't think Chris Bryant was really happy. Just a lot of different moving parts. And we knew eventually part of that core that we had come to know may not stay in Chicago. And I'll be curious when next season starts if they will look the same or what changes will happen. Because they do have to do some shore up and pitching. They do have to go get some other arms. But at this thing from a standpoint, and let's be honest, I think Theo Epstein is getting a little antsy now. He achieved a goal when he came to Chicago, but now it's getting a lot more difficult. You know what I'm saying? He's being tested. So he might be ready to do something new, so to speak. So I'll be curious what it looks like on the north side when we start baseball next year. So I definitely want to get somebody on and kind of talk about kind of where they think that's going to go. And, because it's interesting, because this to me was a very, not a typical Cubs season. Just in attitude alone, I thought it wasn't a typical Cubs season. To me, it wasn't.
Well, don't forget, remember Theo said he didn't feel staying more than 10 years at a place was healthy. And 10 years is next year, at the end of next season. And there was already talk about, did he want to leave now? Did he want to stay his final year and kind of groom the next president of baseball operations, or what? So it already seems like his time here is worn out. It wasn't as successful here as he was in Boston because they won 2 while he was there, and then 3 a year or 2 right after he left. Right. But that was still his fingerprints were all over it. So he would have. I know he would have at least 2. But in his 10 years, he did accomplish that goal, the 108-year goal of the Cubs, and that was to win the World Series. And so he got it. Not as many as he wanted, but he still got it. And I think it's time in his mind, it's time for him to move on. So as it plays out, we're going to see. If we still have a whole offseason, he can leave in the offseason. He can. It just
it has that whole BB King. The thrill is gone. Not just for him, but I kind of feel like as a team there was just this I'm not saying it to be a negative Sox fan. I'm just saying watching them, it just seemed it was more work than it's ever seemed like it's been for them.
Yeah,
so as a Cub fan.
Hey, at the end of the day, if Theo decides to leave, we're gonna miss him. This is the opportunity to reach out to Rick Hahn. Hey, Rick, you want to come over and join us? Hey, here's an opportunity.
That'd be ultimately.
We take over disrespected GMs.
Yeah.
We could take them and use them.
If you really want to stick it to Reinsdorf, if you want to stick it to Reinsdorf, that would pretty much.
If you want to stick it to Mr. Reinsdorf, that would be the coldest way to do it. But
I would ask you as a Sox fan to not do that, though.
Exactly. But in spite of Theo's, doubts and fears. The Cubs haven't been the same since they got rid of Dexter Fowler. We never had a replacement for Dexter Fowler, and that hurt us over the last 4 years. They never really found that leadoff hitter with the same charisma, same mentality, same discipline, and just being a leader. Dexter was a leader. On and off the field. So because we didn't find one of those guys to replace him. We suffered for it. Now, as far as the Gold Gloves, I think Javi was rewarded based on what he did years prior. Because this year, because what he did years prior defensively. Because this year, I'm just going to be honest with you, he made a lot of bad plays. I saw him throwing balls into the stands and everything, even though it was a 60-game season. And that was pretty good that he was able to minimize a lot of his errors. But he did make a lot of bonehead plays this year. So to give it to him based on what he did in his past was I would say well deserved. Anthony Rizzo, he's always competing for a Gold Glove. So 9 times out of 10, I had a feeling he was going to end up winning that. But congrats to those two for bringing home some hardware.
All right. I know we've consumed the top of the morning with baseball. There was some other stuff that was on there too.
Tons of. We could talk a little Bears. We could lead right into our guy Lauren.
Yeah, that's true. Or just really quickly though, I did want to pick your brain about the Maurice Cheeks hire. What you thought about that one?
Hell yeah!
I like it. I like it a lot.
No, I love it, Maya. First of all,
I do like it.
First of all, Mo Cheeks, and so the next top of the morning topics, Maurice Cheeks has been added to the Chicago Bulls staff by Billy Donovan, and he's Chicago's very own. And I was a huge Maurice Cheeks. I wore number 10 in basketball because of Mo Cheeks when I was in grammar school. I love the way he played. I love the fact he's from Chicago. He's a Hall of Famer. This guy knows. This guy understands how to run an offense. I was so happy that he's on board with this new regime over here in Chicago. It'll be good for him to come home and build Kobe White, Zach LaVine, build these guys up to a point where their basketball IQ gets higher because of him. And I was saying, here's the great thing. It's like you got him and Billy Donovan. Those are two different types of point guards.
Yes.
Remember, Billy Donovan's like, I'm gonna shoot your eye out. Remember that was in the 88. I think was it the 88 Final Four where they had just implemented the 3-point line, and Providence, led by Rick Pitino, with Billy the Kid as their point guard, said, "We're gonna chuck it. We're gonna chuck it. People don't know how to defend it right away. We're gonna chuck it." And it took them all the way to the Final Four. And then you had Mo Cheeks, who was a guy who knew how to facilitate, knew how to run an offense. So you're gonna get coaching from two guys who are phenomenal at running the point their specific way, and now blend that together. I think that's a great thing for our Kobe Whites and the Zach LaVines of the Bulls.
Because that was something we always said, that they're either, if you can't go out and get a veteran point guard, then you just got the next best thing, and getting coaches that can actually then do that piece, teach them how to exceed and be good in those positions. So we always said that veteran point guard could be the difference, but they've always kind of not been able to truly do that besides Rondo. But I think this is even better because now you can work with what you have and now know that you have two competent coaches that can really coach them up in those positions.
Yeah, that's definitely a good hire, especially to see LaMelo Ball's pretty much stock draft dropping due to poor interviews. There's a possibility he might fall to number 4. And under our coaching regime, we can probably help mature that young man and develop him into a floor leader in spite of the distractions that come with LeVar Ball and the Ball family. Yeah,
but his dad hasn't been around much, and actually he's been separated from his dad, so he signed a contract with I don't know, was it Puma? It's not even, he didn't even go with Big Baller Brand. So, his dad is far. It's been a while since his dad has been a pain in the ass to an NBA team. So, I don't think that's going to be an issue.
Well, rumor has it that he's been on his medication, so maybe he'll be okay. Yeah.
I haven't heard anything from LeVar when he said, if you trade my son, LeBron won't win a championship in LA.
Because he realized, look, he was in the moment. He was trying to really monopolize on what he felt he had, which, by the way, I thought he did have something good. He just didn't know what to do with it. That's the sad part. I think what he could have done with my 3 sons, literally, could have been amazing. But he approached people he came across, as the angry black man. Mm-hmm. And then he was saying angry black man stuff. So it isn't like if he got that label, it wasn't like he didn't earn it. You know what I mean? He earned it. And for his sons, his sons don't have his personality at all.
No.
Matter of fact,
he was the Joe Jackson of NBA basketball.
I really feel like he was overshadowing them and wasn't really allowing them to grow as individuals and making decisions for them that I think for some of them changed the trajectory of what their future was like. You know what I mean? So he thought he was doing something great. And from a marketing standpoint, he could have made a lot of money as far as I'm concerned. But his approach was wrong.
Yeah, when he started off, I was respecting him because I was glad to see an African American man being a strong father involved in his son's lives. Then it got a little bit you know, a little
Joe
bit
Jackson.
too much, a little bit too much circus time. You know, when he started calling out Michael Jordan, I could beat Michael Jordan 1-on-1. You know, and all this stuff. You put too much pressure on your sons to succeed, and they end up underachieving. But hey, I can't speak for that man. He did deliver the goods. He got his son to the NBA. Now he's gonna have 2 sons in the
But I
NBA.
really believe that he still would have made it to the NBA one way or the other.
Right, true. But without all that craziness.
But think about it. The one had the incident in college when he was over in China, and that just messed his whole. I mean, look at all the things that went awry.
Yeah.
Because he's too much, and he didn't allow them to be individuals. But you know, hey, I think it took a lot for him to step up and not let his dad. Yeah, right, exactly. Yes, exactly. He was like a parental bully. I hate to say that. He was a bully to those boys. And I'll be honest, I think it took a lot for him to step up and say, "Dad, stop." Seriously. And I think their relationship is a little strained, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And that's why you're not seeing him, because I think he realizes that I have to distance himself from me if I'm going to be successful in the NBA.
Yeah, if I want deals, I want.
That big baller brand shoe, that was the last straw.
And the thing is, they could have got there. They could have got a deal with somebody. You know what I'm saying? They could have done so much. And apparently, I don't know. It's unfortunate that such a great opportunity was wasted. That's how I see it.
Yeah, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And that's the issue. And like, it's not like what you say, it's how you say it. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that he just came across too abrasive, too combative, and especially in that realm and that pretty white dominated field into high execs, you can't come across, abrasive and angry black manish and then and expect them to take you serious or even work with you. I mean, your deal has got to be unbelievably beneficial to them for them to even consider it if you're going to come across like that, because at the end of the day, all they care about is dollar signs and like, don't worry about it. He's just how he is. But he
was like in your face.
No, rude. I know, but his shoes weren't that. The risk wasn't worth the reward. Like if
yeah, but if he was thinking it should have been so much more than the shoes. Mm-hmm. That was a part that he missed, and I was like, I don't. And the thing is, he was never even a fraction of the athlete that his sons are probably going to be, from what I've gauged. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I was just like, it's unfortunate. And it's sad because I'm like, I don't know why he was so angry and why he thought that approach, like I'm going to call out the league kind of thing. I'm not, Shawn, you nailed it. Like there's more of other people in power than there is you. And even for the people of color that might be in it, they're going to look at you like you're crazy because you are. And they're not going to align themselves with you. And then you go after Jordan. That's like sacrilegious. What's wrong with you?
That's suicide.
Right. That's suicide right there. And then you talk about LeBron like he can't win without your son. I mean, that's slightly next to being suicidal. People are lukewarm on LeBron. And look what happened. So now he has to shut up because nothing that he kind of said was going to happen actually really happened. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah. So, well, listen, we got to take a break. And on the other side,
we have an inspector. We have an inspector here. So they saying how you on TV. He's coming to fix the fire alarm. So.
He's putting a battery in for you?
He's checking all the smoke alarms.
Joseph had to pay somebody to take his chirp away.
Why is he chirping? Stop the chirping.
I don't know how you could sleep because that would have drove me crazy.
This service comes with the rent, okay?
Okay.
Like, I'm not changing a damn battery if I ain't got to.
That's right.
Look,
that's a 9-volt.
Hey, Bookman, get up here. Change my battery.
That's a 9 volts I got to go find. You crazy as hell. That's tough to find.
I feel like George Jefferson. You just got to just...
You're moving on up, right? Okay. You and your Peloton. Just because you got a Peloton don't make you special.
That's my wife's. She had that before she met me. So.
Okay, well, your wife must be a baller. That's a great right there. Lord have mercy. Good bike though. That's a good bike. I hope she uses it. But yeah.
Yeah. We doing well together.
Okay. All right, cool.
Well, we gotta take a break. Hey, Joseph, thanks for joining us as always, Papa. We will see you on Friday. And on the other side of the break, we're going to be joined by Lauren Cox from NBC Sports Chicago and talk a lot more Bears. Man, there's so much to delve into. We might actually keep him kind of long because alignment. There's so much to talk about. So don't go anywhere, folks. Lauren Cox coming up next, right here on Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago.
BoomerNaturals.com presents the Sports Flash on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone. Northern Illinois is set to open the season tonight along with the rest of the MAC. NIU is set to host Buffalo tonight with the game televised on ESPN2. The rest of the league slate includes Eastern Michigan at Kent State, Akron hosting Western Michigan, Ohio is at Central Michigan, Miami's hosting Ball State, Bowling Green will be at Toledo. Another game has been canceled in the Big Ten Conference for football. Purdue and Wisconsin this weekend has been called off due to coronavirus cases within the Wisconsin football program. It's the second straight week the Badgers have canceled the game after they canceled last week against Nebraska. Boilermakers are 2-0 and will play Northwestern November 14th. Boomer Naturals delivers breathable protective face masks for kids and adults. Save 20% with promo code SPORTS at BoomerNaturals.com. I'm John Thayer on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents and Doug.
Fasten your seatbelts, folks. We'll be prepared for takeoff.
Limu, how cool is this? Your first time flying. Oh, I didn't mean... Listen, Limu, you might not be able to fly, but you do something even cooler. You tell strangers that Liberty Mutual customizes their car insurance so they only pay for what they need.
Sir, do you have a certificate for your service bird?
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Get a customized quote at libertymutual.com.
I'm Dr. Baker, an ER physician. If you're having leg pain, swelling, or redness, but haven't talked to your doctor yet, don't wait. This could be deep vein thrombosis, a blood clot which could travel to your lungs and lead to a pulmonary embolism, which could cause chest pain or discomfort or difficulty breathing and be deadly. Your symptoms could mean something serious, so don't wait. Talk to a doctor right away by phone, online, or in person.
Brought to you by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. And our next guest, he is a great friend of the program, and we have a lot of questions for him. So let's get right to it. Let's bring him on. He's a good friend of the program. You can find him on Twitter at Cox Sports One. That's like Fox Sports One, but with a C. Guys, let's bring him out. Lauren Cox. Lauren, what's up, buddy? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. A little short on sleep after the election night last night, but I had to be talking Bears instead.
Really? Did you torture yourself to stay up and watch it?
Well, I had to do some work-related activities with a lot of it. But I knew we wouldn't get any kind of final results, so just kind of had to do a lot of local stuff. But it was a long night. But I'm happy to be here talking about something else.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw a couple of times you're out at the rally, at a Trump rally you were at a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, you had to cover that for work. So I was like, oh snap, he's more than just a sports guy.
Yeah, fortunately, I was able to stay out of the actual crowds where people were pretty close together. But so far, so good on the COVID-19 front.
Okay.
Oh, well, good. You're always masked up and making sure you're good. Okay.
Yeah, unlike the Chicago Bears, apparently.
Exactly. That was going to be our first topic. Oh my goodness. So Jermaine Ifedi and their tackle Jason Spriggs, both come down a little different. Spriggs tested positive, and then Ifedi was close encounter or something like that with someone. So he actually may play. Ifedi may play, but Spriggs is out. As if we needed more offensive linemen out on the Chicago Bears.
Well, I mean,
your thoughts?
If Ifedi was out, let's be honest, will we miss him?
You wouldn't, you say that, but then if it's a 7th round rookie filling in from him, the grass isn't always greener when you don't have offensive line depth.
True. That's true.
Well, we're struggling because Mustafa might be out as well. Talk to me about this decimated offensive line that this Bears team is dealing with right now.
Well, I think it's easy to get caught up in, everything that's going on with Nick Foles and, talk about going back to Trubisky and obviously some very valid concerns about Matt Nagy play calling. But I do think we forget how important it is to have some kind of consistency up front on the offensive line, like how devastating that can be to anything that the head coach wants to call or any type of passes that Nick Foles wants to make. And it's not to excuse those guys from things that they're doing wrong, but when you're potentially starting at least one 7th round rookie this week and you've got an injured backup center who's an undrafted rookie free agent, and your left guard's going to be an undrafted free agent, assuming that's Alex Bars. And if Jermaine Ifedi's unable to go, and we'll see what happens with Cody Whitehair, maybe having to play guard. And then Rashad Coward, who's been awful at left guard, having to play right tackle. I mean, for me, it highlights one of the concerns I had entering the season was that just their offensive line depth has never been solid this year. I mean, it was Spriggs as your swing tackle, and then Alex Bars sort of as your backup there, and they never really had a true backup center for a little while there. So, for me, this reflects very poorly on Ryan Pace, who didn't do very much to address the starting lineup this offseason, and then even worse, didn't do anything to really bolster the depth behind them. I realize he can't fix every position every offseason, but that was one where you could kind of see this one coming if COVID or injuries were going to hit this offensive line.
So with that being said,
Look, that is the perfect. Put that up again, Ivan. Put that up. That is the perfect. That is perfect for Jay Leno. Well, speed bump Charlie. He lets his guys go. Like the ball's running behind you, so he lets his guys go to go get a linebacker, go to the second level. Don't worry about the guy in front of you. So he's going to look for somebody else while his quarterback is running behind. He's still behind the line, and his defensive linemen are blowing snot bubbles, ready to knock Mitch's head off. That's the perfect. That's the perfect picture of J. Charles Leno.
And yet, last week he was one of their better offensive linemen because Rashad Coward was awful and Sam Mustafa was mixed reaction here. And then of course you get half a game from Bobby Massey, so it's hard to judge him there. And Jason Spriggs was okay at right tackle. I mean, it's an extremely low bar, and yet even Charles Leno, with a lot of his mistakes, still is one of the better guys they got. I mean, they're approaching worst offensive line in the NFL territory if they're not already there.
I was about to say, what do you mean approaching?
Yeah.
They've arrived. So when we put this in context, and then that question about, so it's not like putting Mitch, I mean, I'm not going to say I felt like Foles was the answer. He was supposed to be an upgrade, but there was a couple of things that I started to take in consideration when he wasn't playing at least at the level that was anticipated. One, they started seeing better defenses, let's be honest, which then means your offensive line was challenged. And the more your offensive line becomes depleted, the more difficult his job is. So my thing is, what makes you think putting Mitch back in this really bad situation is going to improve anything offensively? They have to figure out how to make this line better. I mean, and from what it sounds like you're saying, Lauren, they don't have anything remotely to put in this piece that's going to make it any better.
Yeah, I agree about Trubisky, where I think if you think back to the Saints game, there was that one play, it was 3rd and 10 in the fourth quarter when Nick Foles started scrambling towards the line of scrimmage, stepped back and took a sack. That's one play where Mitch Trubisky would have scrambled and picked up maybe a first down, if not a decent chunk of yards. But other than that, going back through that Saints game, I don't know that there were a lot of plays where a different quarterback, specifically Trubisky, makes that much of a difference, if any. I mean, Foles still hit a 50-yard completion to Darnell Mooney and then a nice 25-yard touchdown throw to Allen Robinson. We kind of forget that in the first half there, they were clicking for at least a little while. They got that really long run from David Montgomery. A couple of deep passes were connected on this week for the first time. They were up 13-3, and I think if the defense doesn't give up that late first half touchdown, I think we still feel a slightly different narrative about how that game went. But regardless, the offensive line issues I think are exacerbated a little bit by Nick Foles' lack of mobility, but at the end of the day, he's still the quarterback that can operate this offense in the passing game more consistently and has a better understanding of the whole system than Mitch Trubisky.
So is there a possibility, so when you get these deficiencies, Is there anything with the existing linemen they have they can do that's going to give, obviously, Foles a bit more time? And he can be a quick release. I get that piece. And at the same time, he's going to have to – and you're right about that play, but I think when it hit him to run, it was too late because run first is not his mentality. And when he thought about it, it was like, oh, and it was too late. They were there. So I think for him, I'm going to make the assumption that's going to probably move high up on his ladder of running more if the play isn't there. But from a standpoint of scheme, is there any play calling they can do right now with what they have that can give Foles more time?
Yeah, I mean, we saw bits of it, and some of it didn't work as well against the Rams when Aaron Donald would just eliminate whatever you tried. But, the play action was helping. It was getting more time for Nick Foles to throw. Certainly the rollouts can have that effect if they're executed properly. That's been a little bit more of a hit or miss thing, and Nick Foles will always throw the shortest route on a rollout, guaranteed, even if there's somebody open farther downfield. Whatever reason, he is not looking beyond that first guy. That's a little bit frustrating. You can leave a little bit more running back and tight end help in that pass protection and chipping, and they were doing some of that. But, at the end of the day, with this Bears offensive line, it's always coming from different places. Sometimes it's Rashad Coward struggling to pick up a stunt at left guard. Sometimes it's the center, Sam Mustipher, getting driven back, or it's now going to be Rashad Coward at right tackle. I mean, there's always different guys at different spots messing up, and you can't help all of them all the time. So, it's one thing if it's just you have one weak position and, okay, we're going to slide our protection over to the left to help your left guard, or we're going to leave a tight end in next to the right tackle because he is the one weakness, or you're going to have the running back step up and always help whoever the center's trying to block. It's coming from 3, 4, 5 different spots sometimes, and eventually it's just all you can do is try and get rid of the ball quickly, try and mix in some screens, a little bit more play action, but you can't fix it entirely from scheme. You can only hope to minimize the damage.
The biggest issue, one of the big issues is, so people were saying, okay, bring back Mitch. And I'm like, nah, hold on, player. Let's pump the brakes a little bit on that one. But I would be open to having a couple packages for him, just the way that the Saints use Taysom Hill. My only issue with that is that I haven't put that up again, please. My only issue with that is they don't block. The missed block. This is it. This is the Taysom Hill package for the Bears, and Mitch is trying to get a first down, and he's got 2 guys unblocked coming at him. He's 3 yards in the backfield, and he's got 2 guys already at the line or across the line of scrimmage. So putting a package or packages in for him for Mitch, that's a moot point because the blocking isn't going to be there. Like I said, that is the most apropos picture of the walrus, J. Charles Leno right there, dude, because that's just ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. He's going looking for the safety when the guy in front of you is beats you. Like, oh, I'll just go get someone else. So, so that's my issue, man. So is there any way that we can use Mitch at all for his feet? Because there's got to be something. I mean, I don't know. It's the offensive line, man. It really stops everything.
Yeah. I mean, so I think there's some ways you can work around it a little bit here and there. Like they were able, in the running game last week, they were able to block a few runs where all 5 guys actually did their job. And I was kind of like watching the tape. I was kind of like rubbing my eyes like, wait, actually, I had to rewatch. Like, did I see that? Like, oh, wow. Like every guy actually did their job. I mean, they ran the ball okay. There were more of those 4, 5, and 6 yard runs from Montgomery instead of the 0, 1, and 2 we were accustomed to. Still a lot of issues in there, but I do think collectively they took a step forward, and it's a small step forward, and it's not a big bar, but it's a small step forward. And I can see where from their standpoint, a big part of that can just be that continuity of trying to have the same guys line up next to each other so they can get used to, okay, if we're going to combo block this guard, how much help is this guy going to give me? How quickly can I get to the second level? And just trying to get a feel for some of those physical space things. I understand their desire to have some patience there. Like on that long David Montgomery run, they kind of did a funky formation with a split back kind of look for David Montgomery with no other split back. And they brought Cordell Patterson in motion going to the right and then had the offensive line block left. And so you had a whole bunch of Saints defenders all flowing with emotion, and so David Montgomery could kind of just slip in through, and it wasn't a complicated block for the line. It was literally just move everybody left as hard as you can, and Montgomery's just going to go outside of all of those. So they just kind of created a wall. Like it was schemed up to the point where there wasn't a lot of room for the offensive line to fail. They just had to literally just bulldoze the guy in front of you in one direction. Don't worry about getting to the second level. Don't worry about movement or anything like that. Just take the angle that they're giving to you and go. And it worked for David Montgomery. So like you can try and piece it together there, but it doesn't help when you add a COVID test and another injury, and now Coward probably going to move back over to right tackle. Alex Barr is going to come in at either left guard or right guard, depending on what happens with Jermaine Ifedi. And it's another week of new guys getting used to new guys next to them. And I wouldn't expect any kind of cohesion to develop instantly. They need the same lineup for a couple weeks.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, guys. We're joined by Lauren Cox, who's the host of the Locked On Bears podcast, talking a little Bears football right here on Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. You know what?
Okay, so let's put the elephant in the room. Like, let's just uncover it. So we know we have got personnel issues, whether it's due to sickness, inefficiency. So the next thing we're saying, you know, what can be done with what you have to make the adjustment with plays? The question is, does Nagy have the ability, but more so desire, to make those adjustments? Because to me, he's as much of the issue is not really having the personnel to do what you need to do. He's always refused to work towards his strengths and not keep doing things that put them in difficult situations. And didn't Nick Foles kind of allude to that just a tidbit?
No, yeah, he called him out on it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like when you watch the coaches' film of this Bears offense, there are receivers getting open downfield. I mean, pretty consistently. The route concepts, the play call on that side of the perspective works. Like Matt Nagy's system works to get guys open. The problem is it requires good offensive line play. It requires perfect execution from everybody. Like this is a system where if everybody does their job, it's going to work. The problem is he has a team of guys that can't do their job consistently. And that's where he struggles to adapt his system to say, okay, I can get Darnell Mooney open for a 50-yard deep shot, but that play only works because Nick Foles had great pass protection on that one play. I mean, there were a handful of plays like that where you give Nick Foles a clean pocket. He's got time to throw. There's going to be a receiver open deep downfield. And we saw it even against the Rams where he missed a couple of those shots. There were still receivers open. Like from a passing game standpoint, Matt Nagy's system works. It's just he hasn't been able to do enough to adapt for his offensive line. And I realize that you kind of want to see what you can get away with and see, okay, because sometimes the offensive line works, so maybe you try this play, fingers crossed that we're going to have time to get it off. But clearly he's not doing enough in that regard, and certainly the running game has been an issue. And it kind of comes down to feeling like, you know, he can call on any given situation, he can call a really good play. You know, there was the 4th down conversion where Allen Robinson basically set a pick route for Anthony Miller to run free over the middle of the field, and they picked up a huge 4th and 7. Or it's the David Montgomery run that I talked about where they break out a weird formation and good motion, and the blocking scheme works, and he gets 38 yards. On any one given play, Matt Nagy can call a good play, but it's the game plan, the game flow, the play calling from snap to snap and drive to drive that still doesn't feel like there's an offensive identity. It doesn't feel like the plays build off of each other, and it feels like he's kind of just picking them not at random, but he's just kind of selecting plays here and there, rather than having a bigger picture plan for how this play is going to play into the next play and the plays on for future drives, setting things up for the future, things like that. We don't see as much of that compared to the Sean McVays and Kyle Shanahans of the world.
You know, this running game that we have, you know, obviously the offensive line, but are we going to see Lamar Miller? Are we going to see, is this guy, is he finally close to coming back? Is he, you know, I mean, I'm tired of the Cordell Patterson experiment. That's over and done with. We need another running back there. You know, this is so frustrating when you deal with Ryan Pace, because these are all Pace issues. These are all Ryan Pace issues. Okay. Matt Nagy has his own flaws. Believe you me, we know he has his own flaws, but he can only work with what he's given. And if he's not given another backup, if he's not given a backup running back, if he's not given quality offensive lineman, then he's got to make do with what he's got. How soon before Ryan Pace is on the hot seat? Because you know this guy. It bugs me to the point that they're both of them. But in this case, just talking about Ryan Pace, they want to be the smartest guy in the room. And I want to sign. I mean, I can sign. What was Charles Leno Jr. 6th round, 7th round pick, something like that. So so now I got him, and I got him lined up. But you get what you pay for. You get what you pay for, and very rarely you're going to find an Eddie Jackson in the 4th round. And we all know the only reason he went there was because he broke his leg. Okay, that's the only reason that he was down there. Otherwise, he was a 1st round pick. So and how soon before Ryan Pace has his feet put to the fire? Because again, lack of depth. First of all, when was the first? Has he drafted any offensive lineman in the 1st or 2nd round? No. Okay.
Whitehair and Daniels were both 2nd round picks, but that's been about it for draft.
Yeah, you're right. And you look at Dallas's line before they went, they got a little crazy this year. Like they were 3 or 4 1st or 2nd round picks on that offensive line, and Zeke was running crazy. We've really got to do a much better job of drafting offensive linemen higher. And I would be surprised if he did it, but I would be ecstatic if he in the first 2 rounds he took offensive linemen. I don't think he's going to do that though.
Well, the problem is like next year quarterback draft pick kind of becomes a premium there in the 1st round, but 2nd round picks, certainly I would look to offensive line and probably edge rushers being 2 spots that you're going to need some young talents here very soon. But I even look at the Saints offensive line last week. The left tackle Taron Armstead, third round pick, left guard 1st round pick, center 2nd round pick, right guard 1st round pick, right tackle 1st round picks. That's a team that has invested heavily in the offensive line to protect their future Hall of Fame quarterback as he approaches and I think passes age 40. You're 100% right. I think I don't want to say there's a disconnect because I think Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy have good communication, but like last week we saw Ryan Nall take the field for like 5 snaps. If that's not a message of promote Lamar Miller, I don't know what is. Like nothing against Ryan Nall. I'm sure he's a fine human being, but he is not the next most talented running back under contract with the Chicago Bears. I don't know if there's a playbook learning process with Lamar Miller that they're waiting for. All right, I know he's coming off of an injury from last year. I can't remember exactly I think it was some kind of knee injury or maybe it was Achilles. I don't remember exactly, but he's coming up pretty bad injury from last year. So there's some thought that maybe this practice squad time is allowing him to kind of get back up to full football speed before they bring him on. But it's been like 3-4 weeks now, and we still haven't gotten to see him promoted to the roster. I feel like there's an opportunity there. I don't think he's going to fix the running game. I think David Montgomery is doing about as much. I mean, everything you could ask for. There's always room to be a better running back, but he's doing it, I think, as best as he can. I think he's doing his job well enough, but adding another body in there, it's a different rhythm. It's a different look for the defense to have to adjust to. And it's just another proven, talented offensive player, and you never really want to squander those while you have them.
Guys, we're joined by Lauren Cox from the Locked On Bears podcast, talking Bears right here on Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago. Let's talk about the defense. Are we just wasting them? Are we just wasting a championship defense and watching them because they bend but they don't break most of the time? Although, please explain to me why the hell they had soft coverage on the touchdown right before the half. It actually should have been 2 touchdowns. Or he should have scored the play before when they went. It was on Kyle Fuller's side. Like, let's run to the other sid. And with Jalen Johnson and the guy, it was literally a pitch and catch. There's no jam at the line, no nothing. The guy, Jalen Johnson's in the end zone. He's in the end zone. Like things like this are things that really annoy me. When you're 15 yards in, you have an extra defender in the back of the end zone. So why not get up there, press a little bit, make the reads make it a little difficult. I mean, I'm talking little 1, 2, 3. Oh, the guy's 4 yards, 5 yards by. I'll put it on a rope and he catches it. Nothing. He didn't even get hit. Nothing. Not even touch. Nothing. That was embarrassing.
Yeah, and going back through and watching those 2 plays, the first one where Cook was wide open, Kyle Fuller was expecting to have Tashawn Gibson at safety there. I mean, Tashawn Gibson started out deep, and then when Alvin Kamara came out of the backfield, Gibson left his deep spot and came up to try and cut off the quick dump off to Kamara, which then when Jared Cook cut inside, Kyle Fuller looked and was like, wait, where's my safety? Because the safety was trying to be aggressive and trying to be, I guess, more physical, take away the quick little throw, but it left a big opening in the back. And Fuller was lucky that Jared Cook couldn't catch it. The pass was a little bit off. Then on the next,
he stumbled too. He stumbled. I was like, oh,
yeah, he definitely tripped up on the turf monster helping with that one. But then on the next one, for me, that's a rookie getting beat where Jared Cook kind of started pressing to the outside and then cut across his face. He was definitely giving him too much separation. I mean, you should understand that you're 50 pounds lighter than this guy and you're going to be faster than him. He's not going to just run away from you. So play tighter, but it was a double post route. The Bears were in cover 3. So the inside post route took Eddie Jackson from the middle of the field and kind of carried him away. And then Cook's post route filled in where Eddie Jackson once was. And I think, again, Jalen Johnson perhaps expecting to have some coverage help inside, but Jackson had a very real responsibility. He had to go cover. So then, yeah, you want your rookie to be a little bit tighter on that one. But it did feel like throughout that drive, there was some room for the Bears to be a little bit more physical. But then, like, you get Kyle Fuller flagged for the defensive pass interference when he tries to jam the guy at the top of the stem. So it's like, well, how, where's the line there between you want him to be physical, but apparently if he tries to be a little bit too physical, they're going to call flags on it. So you can't be up there. It's like, it was a tough sledding, but still, I think we saw a good enough defensive performance, like you said, that if the offense can score just literally one more time, you just get into the end zone one more time and get some offensive line pass protection, it all ends up kind of being tied together where the Bears didn't allow another touchdown until like the fourth quarter after that end of the first half drive. It was field goal in the first half, field goal in the third quarters, and eventually they just can't do it all by themselves.
No, they can't, and it's frustrating. It really, really is. Talk to me about Pagano. He's been a pretty big disappointment for me because I was expecting him to bring a lot more heat. I was expecting, at least with Foles saying, okay, I got a guy who could probably score a little bit, even though now we're seeing that he can't score. But at least he would, bring a little heat. Pagano's not bringing any heat, and you can't let someone like Drew Brees just sit back there and pick you apart because he'll pick you apart.
To some extent, I feel like if I'm Chuck Pagano and Ryan Pace handed out this big 5-year contract to another star pass rusher, Robert Quinn, if I'm Chuck Pagano, I feel like I shouldn't have to blitz if my pass rush includes Khalil Mack, Robert Quinn, and Akeem Hicks, and pick whoever you want as the fourth guy. They've been getting some pretty good production from all of their rotational defensive guys, but like it feels like he shouldn't have to blitz when you have 3 elite pass rushers, and they haven't always been performing like elite pass rushers. Robert Quinn in particular continues to kind of be a big disappointment. So I see a little bit of where Chuck Pagano is coming from there, that if you can just get a good pass rush with 4, then that's bread and butter for a defensive coordinator. And at times we've seen them get a good pass rush. And like in the Saints game, it felt like they were beating offensive linemen, but Brees was just getting rid of the ball so quickly. So then you kind of have to adjust by being more physical with all of the receivers and routes and not giving them all that free space to cut them off so Drew Brees can't just throw the quick one. Like that's where the Chuck Pagano disconnect starts to come for me. Like he seems too inclined to just say, we are going to do what we do against everybody. And if they can beat us, I'm going to trust my guys to beat their guys because we're just going to do our thing. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of, game to game adjustment based on what the opponent is going to do to you. That they don't seem to try and necessarily cut off the opponent's biggest strength or really attack their biggest weakness. It's like, we're going to play our coverages. We're going to play man coverage on third down. We're going to do a lot of that single deep safety looks on first and second down. And we're going to trust that our guys are going to beat your guys. And, it's been good enough this season. For the most part, this Bears defense has done its job and in some games has looked like a top 5 defense. Like it's kind of worked, but it's incredibly frustrating that like Matt Nagy, Chuck Pagano doesn't seem to adjust all that much. Or if he does, it's in the second half or in the fourth quarter when they're finally kind of forced to adjust. But heading into each game, it feels like pretty much the same game plans defensively. And it's worked enough, but it's definitely a frustration, like you said.
That's a good point because for me, I watch the defense week to week, and I'm never like they're playing at that level or with that intensity that I anticipated that I would get from Pagano.
Yeah.
And now that you just said, but you're right, it looks vanilla every single week. It doesn't look like there's any real adjustments being made to whoever they're playing for that week. And I find that even though I understand at one point they were, holding teams, at certain points, and I understand they were doing their part. I still feel that I'm not seeing this, what we would say is a top 10, top 5 defense consistently. And I also feel if you're on the field too much, that's an issue. You can only play at a high level to a degree, but if you're gassed, that's it. I mean, I can't expect you to play great, but you're right. I'm now feeling like maybe Pagano is not making those adjustments necessary. Because even with like Khalil Mack, I don't feel like he's getting to the quarterback like I thought he would. Now, mind you, we do have some missing pieces. We do. I get that piece. But I still feel with who's on the field, it can be better than what it is.
Yeah, it's like he kind of trusts his good players to be good, so he doesn't feel like he has to do a lot to help them. When if you help your good players, then they can be great. You know what I mean? Like he's just kind of let Khalil Mack go try and beat the right tackle over and over again. I mean, he'll stunt occasionally and he'll do little things here and there, but like he's just kind of saying, "All right, Khalil, go win." But if you try and scheme up a few different kinds of pass rush, a few different, maybe a blitz here and there where the offensive line is a little less clear on who's coming and who's not, and all of a sudden you can make Khalil Mack's job a little bit easier on a specific play. I mean, it just seems like it's too much. It's almost like an old school feeling of like, all right, I have good players. I'm going to let good players play. And I totally get that sometimes, but it feels like it's a little bit too simplified. Like you said, it's not that it's always super easy for the offense to exactly figure out what's going on, but it just doesn't feel like it's differing or changing all that much from week to week.
It also seems kind of arrogant and presumptuous. Like, okay, we're going to beat you. I'm not going to do anything different. And my guys are better than your guys, and we're not going to change. We're not going to do it. And that sounds like a Matt Nagy type of mentality. We're going to do what I'm going to say we're going to do, and that's it. And that's not a good thing, because as a defensive coordinator, you need to have a different game plan every week, okay, for different offenses. And if you just say we're going to run our defense and you have to beat our defense, well, guess what? Guess how many weeks of film people have of your same defense that you run every single week? It's the same thing. So all you need is really one game film. Is all you need, because that's all they're going to run the same thing. So it's it would behoove him to change it up a little bit, to bring some pressure, to bring some exotic blitzes, to change it. Hey, just for spits and giggles, why not? Just on 2nd and 4, set a corner blitz, just something. You know what I mean? Just to show it on tape and say, hey, listen, guy, have people prepare. All right, the more you have to make a team prepare in the upcoming week, or the week prior, the better it is for you, because if they don't take it seriously, or it kind of slips their mind because of all the things that they have to prepare for, that might be the play you get them with. That might be the play that's a sack, strip, force, fumble, scoop, and score. I mean, there's all different types of things, but when you don't give people different things to prepare for, then it's a moot point.
Yeah, here's a good number for you, Shawn. If you looking at Bears cornerback or defensive back blitzing this year, Kyle Fuller has blitzed once, Jalen Johnson has blitzed once, Eddie Jackson has blitzed 7 times, and Tashawn Gibson has blitzed 5 in 8 games. Those guys collectively add up to 14 pass rushing snaps in 8 games from your primary 4 defensive backs. Buster Screen adds another 7 in there, but it's like there's not a lot of exotic or unpredictability there. It's always coming from your front 7, and it'll come from Roquan Smith or Danny Trevathan. I mean, and he'll do different formations. At times we'll see like Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn both line up on the same side of the formation, which I'm not sure how well that actually works, but it looks cool. But so like it just doesn't feel, like you said, to your point, it's not all that creative. It feels a little bit vanilla.
Mm-hmm. Lauren, great stuff, buddy. We pardon me. We appreciate it. Do me a favor, let everyone know where they can find you and your work online.
Yeah, of course. You can follow me on Twitter at Cox Sports 1. I always say it's Fox Sports 1, but with a C. You can hear me 5 days a week on the Locked On Bears podcast as well, and I'm still doing some grading for Pro Football Focus every week. So always diving into the tape. That's one of my favorite things to do.
Oh, I love it. Hey, great stuff, buddy. We appreciate it. We'll be in touch soon.
Hey, anytime. Appreciate you having me on.
All right now.
Bye-bye.
Guys, that was Lauren Cox from the Locked On Bears podcast, talking Bears with us. This 12-4 potential season that we have is going by the wayside fast.
So let's see. When you look at the rest of the schedule they have to play. And I mean, here's the thing. I didn't necessarily pick them to beat the Saints. I didn't. Drew Brees, there's certain things I never factor out. I don't. I thought it'd be a game, but,
It was, but
it was a game. They did actually have a game. But when you think about the rest of their season, and
this week,
here's the thing that's interesting. So you got to feel they play the Titans. Oh, Henry.
They're going to shove it down our freaking throat.
He is going to embarrass people. He's going to embarrass people. I was like, okay. Who doesn't want to be embarrassed? So just be ready, because they still won't stop showing him manhandling somebody while he's running.
Josh Norman.
Yeah, poor fella. I was like, I feel so bad for him.
No, I'm not. He talks too much shit, Maya. He's one of those. No, too bad. You want to act like a
But
punk?
dude, he
Go ahead.
shamed him so bad. He
did.
Oh my God, he shamed him. I was like, so loss. So now we're looking at a loss, and if they win, great. I'm just how I see it and how the Titans are playing. It's kind of like the Titans are better coached at this point with Vrabel.
Yep.
I do.
Mike Vrabel. Yep. And the Packers.
So that's a loss. The strange thing about the Packers, because unfortunately I think the Bears have this subconsciously in their brain. They could lose every game, but if they beat the Packers, somehow their season is okay. Which I hate that mentality, because it's all the other games you need to win, and the Packers is but 2 of them. So, but I said, go take a page out of Minnesota's book and see what they did. And that's a young team. That's a young defense. So.
You know how they did it, Maya? They ran the football. A thing that we can't seem to do. The Bears can't seem to do. So it's like that's the MO to beat the Packers, is run right at them. How the hell is this offensive line going to get any type of momentum, any type of push with what we've seen in the past 8 weeks? Like that. I mean, they truly showed how to beat the Packers. Run up the gut, run them.
Here's how the rest of their schedule goes. So we're going to lose to Tennessee. You got the Vikings. Because they're both awful, flip a coin. I don't know who's going to win. I don't. So there's that. Then they get a bye week to lick their wounds and be like, oh my God, this is awful. Yes, it is. Then you get Sunday night Green Bay. And Aaron Rodgers loves to embarrass the Bears. He does. Don't see us winning that game. I don't, because he's better than Drew Brees. So good luck with that. Detroit, it's the saga of the Saris. So let's just see who can win. So maybe they can win that game. Houston is in disarray. You probably should be able to win that game.
Yep.
Minnesota, you're probably going to split the series because you both suck. So the question is, who's going to play better? Jacksonville, you should be able to win that game. You really should. Even in your ailing state, they should be able to win that. Then you end your season with Green Bay. So out of the remaining, what did I say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games. Titans, no. Green Bay, no. Green Bay, no. And the Vikings, that's 4. So you might split your remaining games 4 and 4.
I don't know. They got. I mean, that's why they have to like this game this week. I think this is the season. It could either be the Tide, or it could be what just pretty much solidifies us as not going anywhere. And it all depends on if they stop that running game. The Tennessee Titans are on a 2-game losing streak. Okay. They're on a 2-game losing streak. They have Ryan Tannehill, who has been struggling. The defense plays great against the pass. All they got to do is focus on one guy. They've been struggling on that defense. Their defense is not good.
Okay, but here's the thing. I understand, but I'm just really concerned that the Bears. Okay, that's going to be a Bears defense versus the Titans offense game. Because we already know. Here's the thing: they already know who you got to shut down, and so far I've not really seen anybody do that, so to speak, at this point. Yeah. So the Bears literally have to contain him. That's the problem, and the offense just has to do enough to win. But I don't know. I just still have a hard time giving them the win. And I don't know. I mean, after this week, I think they'll feel so absolutely just emasculated at that point. They're on a road to nowhere. I mean, they might get up for the Green Bay game because I think that means the division games mean something. So I feel like they'll play, but again,
if they lose 2 more before that Green Bay game, they're going to get blown out.
I mean, when it's all said and done, to me, their record was never indicative of who they were. So I was like, no. And by the way, nobody believed it. They were like, yeah, then the Bears aren't that good. They're like, no. And I was like, no, I agree. They're not.
Well, my only thought is that the Bears were really good at mucking up games and forcing you to play a mucked up style game. And most teams don't like to play a mucked up style game. You want to play everything needs to be a lot smoother, a lot more efficient. And that's why the Bears were able to win early. They were forcing teams to play their type of football. So I disagree with you on that they were where they were at. The record indicated who they were, but once people started stop stopped playing the Bears type of football at that particular point. The Bears can't elevate their level of play past that muckish kind of game. And so once teams realize that, they're like, oh well, that's all we have to do. So now you're starting to see teams are starting to take advantage of the Bears and you and I both know, and so does Bear Nation. You know that this Bears run defense isn't very good. You still need a nose guard to stop the run, and you have a battering ram. You got a 6'3.5", 240-pound running back who can run through you or he can run by you. That's the scary part. Is he can run away from you. And this guy, and he's as strong as an ox, with the speed of a horse.
Yeah,
and that's the scary part. Like, where do you go attack this guy?
I tell you what, Pagano better have his thinking cap on. He's serious, because you know where your point of attack needs to be. You know what you have to get done. You know you have to stop him. And here's the thing. Tannehill, you can get to him. Matter of fact, if you played him the way you played Drew Brees, you should probably have greater success. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's not as good as Drew Brees. So you should be able to have greater success against Tannehill. Drew Brees has that ability. I mean, he is who he is. But Tannehill is not that guy. So they should be able to have greater success, at least getting pressure on the quarterback. But boy, the problem might be you feel like you got to put extra resources on Henry. It's the problem. And that secondary has to be ready. We'll see. This is the thing about, let's see if Pagano, because don't go into this week to saying to yourself, play how we play and it should work. No, you need a game plan for this.
Here's how you beat Derrick Henry. Okay. Derrick Henry is not a quick running back. Okay. He's fast. He's very fast, but he's not quick. And by that, and for those of you who don't know the difference, that means that his ability to get to top speed takes him a lot more steps than it would a Tariq Cohen, a Darnell Mooney, a Tyreek Hill. Okay, those guys are in top speed in 3 steps. Okay, so what you need to do is this: you need to set the edge. So whenever they run off tackle, okay, you need to set the edge. And what that does is that slows his feet down. If you can slow his feet down, okay, it's going to take him a few steps more than an explosive back. It's going to take him a few more steps to get up and running to full go. And that's when it's easier to tackle him. Not easy, just easier. And as a former running back, that's the one thing you hate, is to have to stop your feet. You hate to have to stop your feet. So when it's an outside zone or toss, all right, you have to set the edge. Okay, and you have to make him stop his feet or slow his feet down. Okay, because make him read a little more, but because if you allow them to make the blocks cleanly, and he can just go and just cut through a run and cut through it, make one cut and go, you're not going to have a chance. But if you get somebody in there, you set the edge, you get penetration, he's got to stop, he's got to jump over you, he's got to go around you, he has to cut back quickly because someone's at his feet. Then there's a much better chance that you're able to stop him, because he's not going to stop and go around to the cut back and reverse his field, because he's not that quick. He's fast again, but he's not quick. And so the pursuit should be able to get him. So that's how you stop a Derrick Henry. So can the Bears do it? I don't know. We're going to find out, because if they don't do it, oh boy, we're going to find out how great of a day Derrick Henry is going to have against our Bears.
Well, I'm not. Look, I'm going to go in and, expect the worst and hope for the best. And if it turns into a cluster, I won't be shocked.
Give me your thoughts on the Javon Wims situation. He appealed his suspension. Yeah, he got a 2-game suspension.
What are you appealing your suspension for?
He appealed his suspension, and it got denied. So
he's denied. Why would he think in God's green earth that would be repealed based on his behavior? He was so out of control. You were trying to punch at something that you couldn't get through. You were so out of control, regardless of, and clearly the guy did something. I don't think for one moment, because they do have him in the other clips showing what he did to, who was it that he
It might have been Anthony Miller or Mooney.
Somebody he did.
Where he put he kind of
fingers, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
so,
but what he did to Javon Wims is he took his mouthpiece. He had his mouth. They were talking smack, and then he snatched Javon Wims' mouthpiece and threw it on the ground.
Okay.
So Javon's like, oh, okay. So after
Okay, I'm okay. Here's the thing. You have to have enough self-restraint, though, because you know your action's going to come with a penalty. Now, I don't think the NFL should turn a blind eye to what initiated the behavior. I think the other guy should be equally as fined if you want to know the truth. I don't think he should just get to walk away. I don't.
But that's not illegal to throw someone's mouthpiece on the ground.
You shouldn't be touching somebody's. If it happens during play, Shawn, that's one thing. But it didn't.
No, it happened after. It was after the.
It happened after a play, which means to me that's very much like unsportsmanlike. I know it's not a play, but it's not acceptable behavior. So
yeah, I agree.
So my thing is, well, so you're gonna do something to me, and I get it. He's a man, and he's like, oh hell no, you're not doing this to me. But now the consequence is there. But I don't think the other person should be allowed to go untouched. I just don't. Even if you levy a fine, even if you give him a fine for his behavior.
Yeah, because now you're once you mess with the protective equipment of a football player, I think that's how you can phrase it, and that's how you can hide behind a fine for him. Is you're affecting the protective equipment of one of the players.
Right.
You took it and you threw his mouthpiece to the ground, and then with COVID, who knows what's on the grass and. People stepping on it. And
First
whatever,
of all, you're touching something that goes into his mouth, around his face. And because of COVID, we don't even want that kind of contact. I mean, there's different ways. And based on that, you probably could suspend him a game for it. Seriously. But I don't think he should be allowed to go without any form of punishment. I don't think that's acceptable.
No, he's an asshat, too. He's a freaking asshat.
But
I can't
on
stand
the
it,
flip
dude.
side, Wims, okay, you need to go take a chill pill. Because you were punching at something you couldn't even get to. Seriously.
That's the whole thing, Maya. Like, dude, it's a helmet behind a steel face mask. Like, what are you doing?
That just tells you how pissed off he was. I'm like, you could see the anger. You could see he had no restraint. His emotional regulation was gone. Seriously. And when he walked off, you could tell he was almost like a child, like enraged. He was walking away like, he was just angry. And I was like, I get it, but not okay. His behavior, it's worthy of what he got. It is.
You know what? And here's the thing. It's like, there's so many different ways to handle things between the whistle. Like you could have punched him in the nuts, at the next pile up.
That's what I'm saying.
There's so many different ways, pull his mouthpiece out if he's in on the tackle, pull his mouthpiece out while he's on the ground. All right. Kick him in. And there's so many different things you could do, and just to let him know not to mess with you, but to do something in the open with a referee staring right at you. That shows your lack of
you did something in plain
football.
You did something in plain sight. You did something in plain sight. That was the part that was stupid to me. I was like, why would you do that with everybody watching you? And the thing was, no one knew why you did it. It just seemed like so random. You know what I mean? And I was like, what are you doing? But I figured based on his behavior, something prompted the behavior. I knew it. I knew he just wasn't randomly doing it.
Right.
But I was like, but what prompted it? That's why I think as a whole, the NFL should say, you're being fined because you touched protective gear with COVID. You shouldn't have been touching nothing on nobody after a play. You know what I mean? So they could go after him. I don't think it's okay not to punish him. I don't. But his punishment is worthy of it. He gets it.
Yeah. But I do like that. Like you can't take, it's like taking someone's helmet off. Like you need your mouthpiece to play. And to take it off and maliciously take it off, it's. I'm telling you, this dude is an ass. He is an ass. I can't stand him. He's one of those agitators.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of those agitators that gets people to act a certain way, and he wants to play the innocent role.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean to be devil's advocate here, and I'm not. I just want to say,
but you are.
You're right. I'm about to, but how the mouthpiece is tied. It's able to be looped around the face mask. You know what I mean? So it can be secure. So in case it does get ripped out during in the field of play, it doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
Well, I mean, now, and you can't say, oh, you got to go back to face. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that would have been different if, let's say, it was on his face mask. Let's say he ripped it off of his face mask. Then now you actually. Since it's a part of the helmet, now you actually broke his protective equipment. Like you now manipulated the equipment in a way.
I'm not sure what you're saying.
Like if you ripped his helmet, like you're talking about fining for manipulating equipment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if it was connected to that said helmet, wouldn't it be a part of the helmet? Wouldn't that mouthpiece technically be a part of that safety equipment?
It was. It was hanging from his. It was hanging from his.
I thought he had it out. I thought you said he went out and ripped it out of his mouth. I was like, I probably would have hit him too.
No. If you go back, There's I'll send that to you. I'm surprised you didn't see it. Yeah, they went up and they're talking ish to each other, and they're right there, and he probably saying, "Hey, I'll throw your mouthpiece." I know you ain't. You ain't gonna do jack spit. And he reaches over and just yanks his mouthpiece off his face mask and throws it on the ground.
Right, because all I saw was the finger poke. What I saw was a finger poke, and then I saw Javon run up to him, rip his mouth, and go off.
No. He ripped Javon's mouthpiece off the face mask and threw it down. Oh. So, like I said, that dude, he's an asshat.
Yeah,
he's an instigator, and I'm telling you, there's so many different ways. Like, if I have to block, if I have to stalk block, I'm taking my helmet to your knee. I'm putting my face mask in your crotch. Okay, and there's so many different ways to hurt somebody.
That's what I'm saying.
Not injure, but hurt them. Not injure, just hurt them. I'm gonna put face mask right in your crotch, and then have you cup the family jewels for a little while, come off and recover for a little bit. All right, and just so you know, you don't take my mouthpiece and do that. There's so many. I love it. There's so many things that I had to do that I did when I was playing because, no, man, it's just you don't. Guys will do things to incite you. And the funny thing is, had he only thrown one punch, he would have been fine. Because it's always the second punch that gets caught. He just happened to throw the second punch because he hit him, and everyone's like, "Oh, wait, what the heck?" Well, boom, he did it again. Like, oh, well, yeah, I thought he did, and if he just hit him the first time, he would have been fine. But he had to go crazy, and I'm like, dude, like that's just a youngster who's too hyped up on testosterone.
He was pissed.
Yeah, he was.
I told you, even when he was walking back to the room, he was back to the locker room. He was like, I mean, you could tell the rage that was in his face. I was like, what did he do to him? I was like, because he was mad. But I'm sorry, the punishment is fair.
Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. I'm just saying that there's a lot of different things he could have done and he should have done, but didn't. So I think the Bears got him over a barrel now. Like, hey, listen. And this is the thing. Like, Matt Nagy won't do this. Matt Nagy, see, this is a perfect moment to get the best out of Javon Wims. So when he comes back, okay, I'd sit him out a game after he comes back, so he'd miss 3 games, 3 paychecks, okay, and then go in and just say, hey, listen, we're going to start throwing you the ball in the end zone. You don't come down with a touchdown. You don't come down with a big 20-plus catch every game. We're going to cut you. And, this is what he did in Georgia. And this is what he did, and you don't do this now. So I have no idea what the purpose is. This falls back on Nagy. If you know what your players do well, use it. You have in the red zone, Maya, there's got to be Jimmy Graham, Allen Robinson, I say Cole Kmet, and then Javon Wims. Those 4. Those guys are 6'3" and above. Jimmy Graham's 6'7". I said this on Monday. I said you're the progression should be this. Should be Jimmy Graham first in the end zone. First. I'm sorry, he's 6'7". Who the hell on God's green earth? What DB is 6'5", 6'6", or 6'7" in the secondary? Nobody. So that means throw it to him. He should be my first guy. Then I got Allen Robinson because Allen Robinson goes up and gets it. Then I'll have Javon Wims. Then I'll have Darnell Mooney, and then it'll be a dump off pass to David Montgomery. But Jimmy Graham, 6'7", with a guy who can jump. The DBs are no more than 6 feet, 6'1" max. A guy's 6'7".
Look, I have a problem, and I've had a problem. Like, I like Jimmy Graham. I thought he was a good pickup. I thought he could be a good fit. But the problem I have with Nagy is he doesn't he's in love with Mooney. So because he's in love with Mooney, he's now stopped using Graham when Graham initially was very, he didn't play good against the Saints. I don't know if it was just a mental thing with him that game. But even before that game, he stopped going to him. And that's the problem I have with Nagy. He's like, dude, it's working. I get you love Nagy. It was the same thing with Tariq Cohen. You know what I'm saying? He was in love with Tariq Cohen. So he just would disregard Howard. You know what I mean? That's the problem with Matt Nagy. When he gets a new shiny toy, that's all he wants to do is play with it. That's it. Until something else comes along. And to me, that's a detriment in not using every piece of the offense the way that he should.
He's been trying to do that, Shawn. You agree? He's been trying to do that with Harris over Kmet. There's times where Harris shouldn't be in the ball game. Kmet and he was there. At the Rams game, he was. It was less last game, but he was definitely there prior to that Rams game, and in that Rams game a whole hell of a lot more than Cole Kmet. And that's and I think you're absolutely right, that favoritism comes into play. Like you could clearly see, and towards certain players like a Tariq Cohen, that he's Nagy's guy, he's Nagy's boy. This is the guy that he wants.
Well, that's one of the things in the broadcast that, by the way, Troy Aikman was giving it to him. Oh my God.
Yeah, he was.
Dude, he was like dicing and slicing. I was like, but the thing was, it's fair. Everything he was saying was fair to me. And he was like, do they not remember they have Cole Kmet? He even said that. He's like, why is he not using certain things? And I really feel like Aikman was talking to you from a quarterback standpoint. Like, here are the pieces you have that right now, like tight end play in that game could have been the difference. Because, Shawn, you said it, based on size. You know what I mean? Why not every now and then? Why can't we be creative and do a tight end set? Kmet and Graham at the same time. What does it hurt to try something new? You know what I'm saying? If you remember in New England before things went awry, do you remember Gronk and Hernandez and what that looked like? Seriously.
Yeah, it turned out pretty good for them.
You know, despite things went a different direction, unfortunately. But why not? Because of pure size, why not try it out?
Size and athleticism, and I think Jimmy Graham he's frustrated.
He is.
There's that's where he comes out of the red zone. Like, why on God's green earth is Jimmy Graham coming out in the red zone? Like, I don't give a damn who you're trying to work in. You dance with who brung you. And if Jimmy Graham's shown that he can score in the red zone, and he's shown that he can just literally run into the end zone, turn around, put his ass into the defender, okay? Post him up.
You can do it, put your ass into it, yes.
Yeah, post him up, throw him the ball, and that's it. I mean, sometimes football is simple if you keep it that way. But again, as I talked to Lauren, and as I've said here many a time, Matt Nagy has to be the smartest guy in the room. If that works 25 out of 29 times, I'm running that thing more and more and more and more. I could give a rat's ass if Allen Robinson gets mad, if Darnell Mooney gets mad, if anyone else gets mad. Because if we keep scoring, because I keep throwing to Jimmy Graham, and he ends up with 26 touchdowns this year because he's bigger and stronger than everybody else, then guess what? He's gonna have 26 goddamn touchdowns because he's stronger than everybody else, and you can't stop him. End of story. Do you think people get mad when Derrick Henry runs? They keep giving him the ball because he's bigger and stronger and faster than everybody? No.
Oh, absolutely. People become just so frustrated when we decide to act, when they use Henry, and he just absolutely exploits people with his skill sets. And see, this is why Nagy is not the right fit. And here's the problem. Now you have compounding issues of an underperforming team that people thought would be better this year. You thought you had a safety net in Foles. I don't blame where the Bears are right now 100% on Foles. People like to do that, just like I didn't blame it 100% on Trubisky. I just thought he just didn't quite have the skill sets necessary. And now you have got COVID, which changed the complexion of your team. I also didn't feel like the offensive line was all that great. And then Daniels goes out and blah, blah, blah. Now we have a domino effect. So the bottom line is that if Nagy's not willing to make the adjustments with what he has, then what is the point of all this? You must work to your strength with your personnel, not your weaknesses. And then that's why I kind of respected Foles, who I think Foles already knows I won't be back. So
Foles is coming back, but here's the thing.
You think, okay, you don't think that Nagy took exception to him really kind of calling him out? He did. He said what we all think.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, man, yeah, okay, so we think it, but you feeling it. So what's going on here?
I love the fact that no one's talking about the rift between Foles and Nagy, because there's a rift.
Yes, there is.
And the thing that bothers me is when his microphone went out, his headset went out last week, and
just do something else.
You got wristbands, okay? And aren't we happier with Foles calling the plays anyway?
Okay, here's my thing. Sometimes just do it and be like, I couldn't hear the play. If you see some different shit, just go with it. I'm just to the point where just go with it, and if it works, great. If it doesn't,
how many times did Foles succeed because he just kept running the ball, running the plays, calling the plays at the line of scrimmage, and because he's got a feel of the game. Matt Nagy, you don't have a feel of the game. You don't call. Remember, he talked to Brian Greasy talking about he calls plays that I don't have time to run. Okay, so let him call the plays when his headset went out, his helmet went out, and I just been like, I got it. Don't worry about it. And I'd keep the same personnel in there, because what if you catch them in the situation where they're having the wrong personnel for your personnel, and you keep them on, and since you don't substitute anybody, they can't substitute anybody. So now they're screwed. and you get right back up on the line, regardless of the play. You get right back up on the line, and you run a different play, and you call the play once everything's lined up. I don't understand why he kept going to the huddle, or going to the sideline to get the play. I'd have been like, you know what, bump this. I'll call the plays. I'll get this fixed when we get off the field. You know, you're a Super Bowl winning quarterback. You can call plays. It's okay. You have that leeway. And that bugged me with Foles. Foles just said, "Hey, bump that. I'm going to call this drive, and then we'll see where it leads us, and then I'll get another helmet at the next drive." No, that kind of bugged me, you know, about Foles. He should have just said, "You know what, bump you, dude," you know, because they're just not they're not vibing. And part of it is Foles has no time to throw. Can't step up in the pocket. Can't follow through. It's like, what do you want this guy to do? I mean, I still think Foles can be a huge upgrade, but we don't know because he's getting pressure on a 3-step drop from the shotgun.
Exactly.
From the shotgun.
And that speaks volumes right there. Like, that's the play that's supposed to be able to stretch out the offensive line for the quarterback to have more time. Can't do it.
So it's frustrating, but I don't know. Don't get me started because I'm about to get fired up.
It's too late. You're already there. What are you talking about?
I am.
You're already there.
Well, listen, we got to take a quick break, and on the other side of the break, sports conversations. So don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago.
BoomerNaturals.com presents the Sports Flash on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone. Northern Illinois is set to open the season tonight along with the rest of the MAC. NIU is set to host Buffalo tonight with the game televised on ESPN2. The rest of the league slate includes Eastern Michigan at Kent State, Akron hosting Western Michigan, Ohio is at Central Michigan, Miami's hosting Ball State, Bowling Green will be at Toledo. Another game has been canceled in the Big Ten Conference for football. Purdue and Wisconsin this weekend has been called off due to coronavirus cases within the Wisconsin football program. It's the second straight week the Badgers have canceled the game after they canceled last week against Nebraska. Boilermakers are 2-0 and will play Northwestern November 14th. Boomer Naturals delivers breathable protective face masks for kids and adults. Save 20% with promo code SPORTS at BoomerNaturals.com. I'm John Thayer on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents and Doug.
Fasten your seatbelts, folks. We'll be prepared for takeoff.
Limu, how cool is this? Your first time flying. Oh, I didn't mean... Listen, Limu, you might not be able to fly, but you do something even cooler. You tell strangers that Liberty Mutual customizes their car insurance so they only pay for what they need.
Sir, do you have a certificate for your service bird?
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Get a customized quote at libertymutual.com.
I'm Dr. Baker, an ER physician. If you're having leg pain, swelling, or redness, but haven't talked to your doctor yet, don't wait. This could be deep vein thrombosis, a blood clot which could travel to your lungs and lead to a pulmonary embolism, which could cause chest pain or discomfort or difficulty breathing and be deadly. Your symptoms could mean something serious, so don't wait. Talk to a doctor right away, by phone, online, or in person.
Brought to you by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago. As Maya comes back with a interesting laugh as she's eating.
There's stuff going on behind the scene.
Your cats.
And they're like hell-bent they want what I'm eating. So that's why it's funny. Anyways.
What are you eating if they want?
Pancakes.
Hmm?
Pancakes. I'm eating pancakes. And they like pancakes.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I've got cats with particular palates, so to speak.
I see. Usually it's, cat food. They're like, no, can I have some
no.
protein pancakes, please, with chocolate chip protein pancakes?
Oh, no. They go way beyond cat food. They like human food. They do. Spaghetti, macaroni. Oh, yeah.
So we're going to We're going to go back into a little of what we talked about earlier in the beginning of the top of the morning segment with the White Sox, because we still have some other postseason final awards finalists that we didn't get to mention.
Okay.
We did mention that Lewis Robert won the Gold Glove for the center field position, which I thought was great for him. Vatos Locos forever, Holmes. But Lewis Robert, he's up for the Rookie of the Year. I don't think he's going to get it. I think he had the first half of his season was the first 33 games was amazing, and after that he fell off the table.
Yeah, he did. I agree.
And I think the fact that I think he would, I think that was kind of a consolation prize for him getting the Gold Glove. That was a consolation prize because he wouldn't, because again, I think it was worthy. He was definitely worthy of it. And if you go by the first month of the season, he would definitely win Rookie of the Year, hands down. But you had 2 months of the season, and that second half of the season, pitchers figured him out. He was frustrated. Looked like he had given up a lot of times, given up his at bats, and that sucked. So he probably won't win Rookie of the Year, even though he is a finalist. And then our guy Jose Abreu is up for the MVP, and if he doesn't win, like again, all the three finalists, he's with DJ LeMahieu and then Ramirez, I believe, from the Indians. Man, I just think he deserves it. 60 RBIs in 60 games. That's an RBI a game. You know what I mean? He had the six home runs in the Cubs series at Wrigley. I mean, this guy, and he should come away with it. Again, DJ LeMahieu, he had a great season as well. So did Ramirez. But man, Jose Abreu, if you see the things he does every game, every day. You talk about beating out ground balls to keep an inning alive, and I saw him do that a couple of times this year, just to keep an inning alive. Where they're able to go and score another run or two and get the victory, all because there were 2 outs and he busted his tail down the first base line to beat the throw because the defender said, "Oh, he's a big guy, he's not that fast," and he just humped down the first base line. So there's things like that, and then you got Ricky Renteria.
Ricky, don't lose my number. Yeah.
So how would that be? How crazy would that be, Maya? If Ricky wins
I'm gonna tell you,
Manager of the Year.
I kind of at this point would like it just a little bit, just to stick it to Reinsdorf. It gives Ricky a parting gift. You know what I mean? It gives him a parting gift. I didn't want to. I'm just saying, but it's a nice little parting gift, just like it happened to the Raptors coach. What was his name? Dwayne
Haskins.
Casey. Dwayne Casey, is that right? You coach the Raptors into this amazing season and then you get fired. I kind of would be okay with it. It'd be a great parting gift for him. Like, hey, your services were appreciated. People noticed what you did, and maybe it'll help him get a job someplace else. Not that I feel he needs one. I don't know. I don't know that I feel he's head coaching material, so to speak.
You don't, huh?
I don't. You know what? I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's hard to gauge. I hate to be. Some of his calls and lineups and just didn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
But in different situations, sometimes, because let's be honest. I mean, I'm gonna say this. Technically, if you think about it, he did better with this White Sox team than he did with the Cubs. But he also didn't get a real opportunity to do anything with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because of how quickly he was let go. So it isn't like you didn't see potential to be a good manager. I think it's about the lineup, veterans versus youth. There's, to me, a lot of different things to keep into consideration when you talk about evaluating if we think he was good or bad. The part I didn't like about him is I didn't care for when it was those character personnel moments, and when I felt he really needed to be a stronger manager and reprimand and get people back in line. Because sometimes Eloy and Lewis to me were just too playful at times. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't feel like he really brought them back in and kind of I didn't think he really kind of put him in his position, in his place like he should have. So I don't know. And I'm still having the same concerns about, bringing in the likes of LaRussa. Like, can he really manage this personnel the way that it needs to be managed? And he can't come in thinking with his old school mentality, because this is new school baseball. Even though I know he's had his feet in new school baseball because he's been doing the front office piece, but being in the front office, is entirely different than being on the bench.
Yeah, it is. But it also gives you a bird's eye view of the players as well. You get a view that you're not in the mix. You're above it, figuratively, of course, but you're above it. So you get to see how the players, the young players are today, and how they, because he understands, that baseball changes and
he does.
The personalities change, and now that they understand that back when he was at the Sox before, bat flips was unthought of because the next guy would get pummeled. Okay, but now bat flips are the thing, and expressing yourself is a thing, and one of the things that I remember, he had those comments about people who didn't kneel or who knelt for the anthem, and they were very disparaging. But then he actually went to and talked to a couple of his former players, his black players, and said, okay, and trying to find out why they're doing that. And I think that, to me, that spoke volumes. James Fegan did an article on it. James Fegan from The Athletic did an article on it. And he talked about Reggie Sanders was one of the guys he talked to. And then Brian Maxwell, I think, was another guy that he talked to. And he wanted to find out why, it was so important for black players to kneel, kneel during the national anthem. And he came away with an understanding. And to me, that the fact that you reach out to get a better understanding is okay in my book. Now he may not agree with it. He may not. He may still have his hardcore stance. But the fact that you reached out to hear a different perspective, that's progress in a lot of different ways. And maybe he realizes that the game is more socially active. The players are more socially active now than they were before. And I can tell you, he's seen that from being in the front office and seeing different players, from who are socially active.
But see, here's my issue with that. Within its, okay, great, you reached out and you talked to people. I was like, so with the naked eye, do you not see what's going on in this country? Do you really have to ask them why they're taking a knee? Did you not hear the conversation? Do you not hear the narrative? Do you not hear what's happening around this country? See, that right tells me how disconnected you are. And he old. And trust me, he's in that mindset of he don't like it. He don't have to deal with it. He doesn't care for it. Whether there's a reason to do it or not, he does not want it done, period. So I commend you for, I guess, wanting to educate yourself and expand your knowledge base, but I guarantee you he's not behind it. He doesn't really support it, but he'll do what he has to do to navigate the waters, because that part he probably understands. But the fact that you actually had to ask them why they're taking a knee, that actually, a part of me might have been insulted. Like, you really need to ask me? Have you been removed? Have you not seen what's been happening in this country? Here goes your privilege that you can't see past. And I'm supposed to look at you and think you're being open and trying to grow, when I think you should understand this from the very beginning. Just like you probably get upset when people want to take Columbus Day away.
Like a lot of other Italians.
Well, it doesn't matter. Look, doesn't matter why they want to take it away. They're upset because it's their one. Look, the country is named after your Italian guy, Americo Vespucci. Okay, yep. You got something. You got two continents technically named after you.
Yeah. Let
that go. Okay, Christopher Columbus was an awful person, along with a whole bunch of other people. But that's neither here nor there. So I just I'm going to give him a small amount of credit for asking, but I dislike the fact that he didn't understand why in the first place. That means you lack any real form of insight or empathy from a social justice standpoint. But he was in the game when you didn't have to deal with these kind of elements. You know what I mean? This is a new day.
Yeah, I mean, the last time was in 2011, even 9 years ago. This still wasn't very prevalent back in the day.
Not like this. This is like a really different kind of the fact that you've got organizations that I'm not sure how much I feel they've embraced it as much as they're doing it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so, he gets a half a credit for asking, but I'm disappointed that you didn't already know.
Yeah, I think I follow you on that one because it doesn't. But also, see, I have a cousin by marriage who's an Italian guy, and he's so blinded,
Blinded by the light. Yeah.
I love that in Blow, in Johnny Depp's movie Blow. But anyway, and he doesn't get it, and this guy's a year or two older than me, so you can imagine a guy who's 76, because there were, we've had plenty of discussions, on Facebook about this issue and why blacks can't do certain things when his people were able to. They grew up in the LeClaire courts, which is, was all mostly Italian before it turned black, and they were able to go and get houses and this and that. And I, you have to explain to him. I had to explain to him various things that the systems that were put in place that you don't know because you're never going to deal with them. You would never ever have to deal with them.
Right.
And so from the outside looking in, you're like, well, why? If we could do it, why can't you do it? So if you're not educated on that, if you're not educated with redlining, if you're not educated on these type of things, and if you're not, again, how many people know about Black Wall Street? 5 years ago, how many people knew about Black Wall Street? Nobody. It's a lot more popular now.
And how many people still know? Hell, you got some black people who don't know.
No Black Wall Street, yeah.
I'm gonna just be honest, because that's part of so much history has legitimately been pushed to the back burner. It's been hidden. It's not known. So people don't understand this issue, how we have arrived to this destination. There's a whole lot of history that goes well beyond slavery. Can I just tell you that?
Yeah.
So, I get if you don't get it, but my thing is just that even if you knew none of those things, when you look around and you see the whole reason that Colin Kaepernick took the knee, and this is why I'm not a fan of how he did it, because you allowed people to take the narrative from center. And I will always have an issue with that. It was never about the anthem. It was never an anthem protest. It was about the way that black and brown faces are policed in this country. And here's the thing. In the midst of this social unrest, guess what? It's still happening. It hasn't stopped. So my thing is, he allowed people to take it and make it into something that it wasn't, and that aggravated me. I was like, so why'd you bother to take a knee if you weren't going to stick and made sure people did what they were supposed to do? So when you didn't get a job, I could care less. Should have had your stuff together. And people get mad when I say that. I'm like, I don't care. He allowed the narrative to totally be transformed into something that it wasn't.
Yeah, he definitely should have brought it back to the original point, brought it back center. But obviously, you and I both know that spin doctors were definitely put into place to take it to a way that's more divisive, and that's the issue. And so, so back to the Rusa, I can. My thing is this: if you care about your players, okay, if you truly care about them and you love them. Okay, you know how coaches are. I love you guys. You're this, you're that. If you truly care about them, then you need to figure out what bothers them. You need to figure out what their issues are that they're dealing with. Don't just love them because they bat 300, hit 25 homers, and drive in 100 ribbies. Okay, fine. I'll talk to them about their families. Talk to them about social events. When Rodney King got beat. How do you feel about that? When George Floyd gets murdered, how do you feel about that? The various things that have happened throughout history. Talk to your players like, hey, how do you feel about that? That was a black man that got killed. That was a black woman that got killed. That was a black child that got killed. How do you feel about this? If you do that and you keep a pulse, that shows that you really love and care about your players. Okay, because now you're trying to understand what they're going through. I know you won't because you're not, but the fact that you give them a forum to talk to you about it, that will go a long way with me. That goes a long, long way with me. So, I do applaud him for that. But, I just hope he's able to. I'm okay with this. I kind of want him to be kind of a hard ass to start off, because you can always ease up. You can always, because, when I started teaching, the one thing, and Mr. K, he's my freshman and sophomore? No, sophomore and junior. No, freshman and sophomore English teacher said he was always the hardest in the first month of school. So he set the tone. He said, and as the year went on, and we understood, and we understood his regiment and how he did things. He eased up. He said because you can always ease up on him. He goes, you can never tighten the screws if you're real lackadaisical at first. He said, and it's very difficult to gain control of the class at that particular point.
True.
So I don't mind if he's kind of a hard ass, and the person he's going to have to really talk to is Abreu and say, hey, listen, I'm probably going to be a hard ass on these guys, and they're probably going to come to you and bitch and moan. I need you to say, hey, listen, I need things done a certain way. I need things done a certain way. And just let them know that, you know what, I'm going to ease up, but not right now. There's too much that needs to be tightened up.
Right.
You lose 8 of your last 10 freaking games. All you had to win was three of those games, 2 of those games. 2 of those, or shoot, go 500, go 5-5, and you win the division.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They fell apart at the end. They did.
And that's the thing, and that's the issue, is that too many
But the pitching was also, let's be honest, I knew the pitching was going to be the Achilles heel. They didn't have enough. They needed more. And you got to keep in mind that you didn't have Kopech, Dane Dunning, who I still think had a fabulous season. I did. Coming out of Tommy John, I think he performed well. He made it through the stretch without injury, which is important. That's why I look at Rodon like, keep him in middle relief. Keep him in middle relief. You know what I'm saying? You got Kopech coming back, who's got to now start his recovery through Tommy John. So getting Keuchel was good. I think he kind of hit the wall in his own way. And then you already know that Ray is not going to work. That's not working. It's not. So deal where you can. I'll give Giolito a little credit. He moved a little bit closer to my circle, but he ain't in it. Sorry. But he got closer. So pitching was always the area I felt like they were going to struggle. So pitching to me is the thing that kept them from going deeper into the playoffs. Let's just be honest. And what's his name? Crochet? Oh my God. I'm like, where did you get this kid, Rick Hahn? Where did you get him from? And please don't deal him until we know what he really has. You know what I mean? Because I was so impressed with him. I mean, the kid, it wasn't just that he had stuff. His composure on the mound was like Kopech.
Bingo.
It was like Kopech.
Bingo.
I was like, you can't teach somebody to know that you're supposed to be here. Dunning was the same way. I'm here. No, it's funny. I left out a person that I'm not saying he's not good enough. Dylan Cease. I'm not saying he's not, but I think somewhere down the road he may not have a place. I'm just saying if everything else turns into what he can, he may not have a place, but he might be dealable to get something you need. Yeah. Seriously.
No, I agree.
With that being said, I love the fact when I saw Kopech, he pitched like he was supposed to be there. Whoever the hell Crochet is, I don't know where you came from. I've never heard of you before. When the kid stepped on the mound, his confidence was so amazing to me. His presence. Yes, I was just like, he's a rookie. What? I'm like, what? That's the thing to me that Giolito didn't have, that he's had to learn. Mm-hmm. Not to be mean about it. I'm not saying he doesn't have stuff, but when it gets between the ears with him, that's when it's a problem. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Same thing about Dunn. He doesn't necessarily have stuff by speed, but his location's off the hook. So he's not a speed. He can give you a little 97, but it's his location. He's a Rembrandt. That's the bottom line. So the pitching is young. So the thing is, if you get one more veteran in that lineup, you have a lot of things to play with. And what I like about Rihan, I remember we argued with this about Joseph nonstop, was like, you don't have to deal anybody. If you didn't, I'm going to be honest, there was no way they were going to get, I think, they would have done better, I think, if the pitching was up even against the A's. They probably would have done better against Tampa Bay. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying they would have won it, but I still think they would have played better, a better matchup for them. But either way, when it's all said and done, I was glad that Rick Hahn said, don't deal your pieces that you don't know what you have, because I think you have something that might be way more amazing than we ever thought it was. And I'm glad he had the patience, but you still need one more veteran.
I think you do. And I think with Tony La Russa, and as I said earlier, I don't think Jerry's going to let his buddy fail. And I think he's going to open up that checkbook, and he's going to go get some, a top-notch free agent, whether it be a number 1, a number 2, or a legit number 3, somewhere in there.
2 or 3?
If it's a number 1, even if it's a number 1, it pushes everybody back. Fine. If it's a number 2 and pushes Keuchel to number 3, fine. If it's a number 3 that just comes and fits in behind, It doesn't matter. Just give me that third one, and now we're cooking with gas.
And the thing is, Bauer, I have a low affair with that one, but it was like he doesn't like long-term deals. So you want to give someone a short-term deal because you know that Dunn and Kopech need at least 2 to 3 seasons to be up to where they should be. Because you saw, even though you know how much I don't like you, Darvish, but I might forgive him now because the situation has been handled. So I might let him off the hook now that the Dodgers have won the World Series. But I might give him a pass, like, okay, I'm gonna let off on you before I make you break down and cry. So, but look, he was actually year 4 out of Tommy John and started pitching like what you thought. But I think last year was more of a head case than it was physical ability. You know what I mean? I don't think it was that his stuff wasn't there. I think he was, he's another softie upstairs.
What happens if he wins the Cy Young? If he wins a Cy Young.
This is my feet is frozen. Look.
If Yu Darvish wins the Cy Young, that'd be hilarious. Yu Darvish wins the Cy Young and the Dodgers win the World Series.
Anyways, but what I was happy, I just looked at what was good about the season. We went further. We should have won the division, but we fell apart at the end. But they're young. That's why I said this is a maturation season for them. So for what it's worth, you come into the next season knowing that, one, Dane Dunning came healthy out of the season and got work in. He got fatigued at the end, and you could tell. But he didn't come out injured. Like Rodon could never seem to keep healthy. You know what I mean? He just might be a middle reliever kind of guy. But either way, you walked away with Dunning being healthy. Now you hope you get the same thing from Kopech, who's been pitching outside, who seems like he's a freak of nature, though. So we'll see what happens with that. They still have first world problems. Like, what do we do with Rodon? I don't want to turf him. I'd like to see him stay with the organization in some capacity, whether it's middle relief or closing. You bring Kopech back through the bullpen. Don't make him a starter initially. You know what I'm saying? You've got so much room to work with here to be successful from a pitching standpoint. Work with it. You give Dylan Cease, unless somehow packaging him up. I'm going to be honest. If you had to package up Cease, Lopez, something else to get a 2, okay. Because I don't think missing Dylan Cease is going to kill him. I know that sounds bad, but I don't think
it's business.
It's business. And I don't think he's a good pitcher, but I don't think he's as great as we thought he might be. And I think he's had enough starts to do it. So it'll be interesting to see what they deal with. But I think if nothing else, La Russa does have an eye for talent. Now I'm just hoping this doesn't become a conflict of interest with Rick Hahn. I respect Rick Hahn. He turned this organization around. He got us into not just a winning team. He's established a winning culture that could have the White Sox in playoff contention for for a while. Please don't come in here and think, I don't want Reinsdorf to give La Russa the power to say, well, but no. The reason we got here is because of Rick Hahn's vision, and you don't get to discount that. And I hope Reinsdorf is not that disrespectful. But I told you, if Rick decides he's out, I'm going to hate that day because I guarantee you things will not be the same.
Well, I posted something on Facebook. It was an article. It was on the Southside Sox that it said the name of the article was the letter Rick Hahn should be writing today, but won't. And, it talks where it's written by Alan Lee and Lee Allen. I tried to get him on and I couldn't find him on social media to get him on. And it's crazy. But anyway, where he talks about, where Rick Hahn, writes his resignation letter and this and basically saying what Ivan said earlier. I built the team. You let me tear it down to the studs. I got us to this point, and then you don't let me pick the guy to take us across the threshold. Because if you saw the look on Rick Hahn's face at that press conference, he was talking just so much shit. Like he that wasn't his pick. He was pissed. He was just holding on a good face, just to toe the company line. And that was not, Rick Hahn looked so uncomfortable. He was saying all the right things. And that was not how Rick Hahn usually talks.
No,
he didn't have the same excitement that he has when he talks about his moves and going into the season or the end of the season. He didn't have that same excitement. It was very blah. And that was a sledgehammer to his chest, man. I think, and I wrote, I posted on like, if you write this, Rick Hahn, I ain't mad at you.
I know.
I ain't mad at you.
I would just know as fans, we're on your side. Please don't go. Please don't go. Seriously, don't.
Don't go.
Don't. Please don't go. Please don't let Reinsdorf ruin something else like he ruined with the Bulls. Please don't let him do this. I mean, I get it. It was disrespectful. We know we are here because of you. Because Kenny was a sabotager. He didn't get it. His win now mentality never got any the White Sox anywhere, but it did get people paid. You know what I mean? It got people paid. It didn't get us where we needed to be. So, but I'm telling you, that's why I'm like, Reinsdorf, do you think that Rick Hahn is that expendable? People are clamoring. They've seen what he's done. That was a risky thing to do.
Yep. And I think he's going to stay in maybe 2 more years. If the Sox don't win the next 2 years, I think he's out.
I would agree. And if they don't win, it'd be like, why didn't they win? And he could be like, I want my guy in that position, or you let me go. I'm gone. And that'll be the thing. And if you keep La Russa, and I'll be honest, if I was Rick Hahn, I might do a couple more things, but his fingerprints are all over the success of this organization. Not just what's on the field, but also what we have he stocked our minor leagues like it's never looked before.
Mm-hmm. So here's a crazy idea then, Maya. Let's talk about this. Rumor has it that if say the White Sox win the World Series next year, rumor has it that La Russa's gone. He's like, they're saying he wants to win a World Series with the White Sox, and if he does, as soon as he does, he's out. What
was the point? So you're just going to leave after you win one World Series? Like, hey, let's see if we could do it again. What? Again, this is so. Again, a change of managers for the players again.
But at least Rick Hahn gets to get a guy that he wants. There might not be the candidates that there are this year, but I don't know. That's an interesting dilemma if the Sox win it.
You want to win a World Series with the White Sox. Well, you couldn't win one when he was here. So now that you see, here's a team here that can actually do it, like, making it easy. Like, this is ready-made for him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And if he can't win it, why? Because I'll be honest, there's not a whole lot missing besides getting that one other pitcher to put in the rotation, so to speak. Because your depth is going to be dangerous.
They're building their bullpen like the Brewers did back in the day.
And I like it.
You got Aaron Bummer. You have Jace Fry, you have Carlos Rodon, you have Crochet. You can put Kopech in there as well.
I think start him there.
And I mean, that's 4 or 5 guys, and that's not even the closer. Colomé, who's given up blown 1 save in each of the last 2 years. This guy. I
call him head case. I'm serious. I like him. But the fact that he has to be like standing on the precipice to be able to pitch his best damn game, I'm like, oh my God, come on. You have to be under duress to feel like you can pitch like your best game. I'm like, oh, Jesus.
I'll tell you what, that's what happens with a lot of closers. Unless there's pressure.
There's only one Mariano Rivera who could just pitch.
Only one.
Who could pitch. There was only one. They'll probably, if someone else comes along, great, but he could pitch anytime, anywhere. Didn't matter. Done.
Yep. Well, listen, we got to take a last break of the show, so don't go anywhere, folks. We got more sports conversation. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago.
BoomerNaturals.com presents the Sports Flash on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone. Northern Illinois is set to open the season tonight along with the rest of the MAC. NIU is set to host Buffalo tonight with the game televised on ESPN2. The rest of the league slate includes Eastern Michigan at Kent State, Akron hosting Western Michigan, Ohio is at Central Michigan, Miami's hosting Ball State, Bowling Green will be at Toledo. Another game has been canceled in the Big Ten Conference for football. Purdue and Wisconsin this weekend has been called off due to coronavirus cases within the Wisconsin football program. It's the second straight week the Badgers have canceled the game after they canceled last week against Nebraska. Boilermakers are 2-0 and will play Northwestern November 14th. Boomer Naturals delivers breathable protective face masks for kids and adults. Save 20% with promo code SPORTS at BoomerNaturals.com. I'm John Thayer on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents and Doug.
Fasten your seatbelts, folks. We'll be prepared for takeoff.
Limu, how cool is this? Your first time flying. Oh, I didn't mean... Listen, Limu, you might not be able to fly, but you do something even cooler. You tell strangers that Liberty Mutual customizes their car insurance so they only pay for what they need.
Sir, do you have a certificate for your service bird?
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Get a customized quote at libertymutual.com.
I'm Dr. Baker, an ER physician. If you're having leg pain, swelling, or redness, but haven't talked to your doctor yet, don't wait. This could be deep vein thrombosis, a blood clot which could travel to your lungs and lead to a pulmonary embolism, which could cause chest pain or discomfort or difficulty breathing and be deadly. Your symptoms could mean something serious, so don't wait. Talk to a doctor right away, by phone, online, or in person.
Brought to you by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. You know, to finish this off, there's a couple topics that we didn't get to talk about early on, and I think this one was kind of important. And Michael Jordan gets a lot of flack. Okay.
Well, not from me.
Michael Jordan gets a lot of flack from a lot of people. I know one of my buddies from college he's very pro black dude. He's very pro black, and had some just disparaging remarks about Michael for not endorsing the candidate running opposite Jesse Helms back in the 90s, in 1990. His comment, Republicans buy sneakers too, and things like that, which we heard was literally just a joke. It's off the cuff. And, and he and I, we were going back and forth. I'm like, Michael gives a lot to people. I said, the thing about it is Michael, he's not in that social media era. He's not from there. I was like, so when he does things, I said, if it's not national, if it's a local cause, it just stays local. And he was like, no, whenever Michael Jordan farts, it makes news. So I was like, no.
That's not true.
And so I try to explain to him, I was like, look, I said, Michael Jordan has put people of color in positions in the front office that were before they got there were kind of foreign, unattainable to certain people. I'm like, so, just because you have to play the game until you get to where you want, now he can make moves. Now, can anyone question Michael putting, certain people? Obviously, if they're qualified, not just you're black, so I'm gonna put you in here. But he now has the ability to place people in these front office positions that are decision makers, and it sets these guys up so when they leave his organization, now they can be president of basketball operations here and there. It's basically a training ground for them. And then, so one of the things that I just saw this article and I had to put it in there and I wanted to talk about it was Michael Jordan and LeBron James pay to help felons vote in Florida. So there was a law that so LeBron James and Michael helped Michael Bloomberg's $27 million effort to help clear fines and fees for about 40,000 felons in the state so they can vote on yesterday. It said it's not clear how much they contributed. It said, but they did. And it said about 1.4 million Floridians had the right to vote restored in 2018 thanks to Amendment 4, which allowed convicted felons who have served their sentence to vote again, with the exception of murder and sexual abuse. Because if you're a felon, you can't vote. Right. But in Florida, there's that exception. Last year, Republican lawmakers passed a law that required ex-felons to pay back court fines and fees before regaining the right to vote.
Of course.
Which is essentially a poll tax.
Of course.
Okay.
Because they know most of them can't afford it.
Bingo. And it was found to be unconstitutional in May. So about 75% of former felons owe court debt, and 70% of them are unable to pay. And so they were able to pay the fines to allow felons to vote. Stuff like this is why, I think that's awesome. Michael Jordan has continually done things for folks, and I get his point of view where Republicans buy sneakers too, which again was just it was off the cuff. It was said as a joke. But you have to understand when you're at that level, and people don't understand when you get to that level, there's a game you have to play. There is a game you have to play. Otherwise, they will bring you down. It does not matter who you are.
Of course.
And so Michael played the game very well.
Mm-hmm.
So he got to the point, and don't get me wrong, he's not immune from being torn down either. He's not. They can take, they can get him somehow, some way. They'll make stuff up. You see what they did to Bill Cosby. Okay. So one of the things that I was happy about is that his ability to help people vote when this election was such a significant one, to get rid of the person, if that's who you choose, to get rid of the person in the White House. And I thought it was a great thing. So allow these people the right to vote. Their ancestors, let's be honest, most of the people who were in the prison were Black or Hispanic. Okay. And whose ancestors were killed for the right to vote, or were beaten, had their heads busted wide open for the right to vote. And now to give them this opportunity, I thought that was phenomenal on Michael Jordan's part.
I've long since I stopped being critical about what people do with money a long time ago, because that's your money. There is no written law that says because you have money that you worked and earned yourself. And we're talking about a lot of people who are independently successful, who weren't born into wealth, which is a lot of Black and brown people. So they did their part and they achieved something, does not mean that they owe anybody anything. I hate a sense of entitlement with groups of people, including Black people. How a ninja with no money gonna tell a ninja what to do with money bothers me, because Michael Jordan worked for every cent of everything that he's ever gotten. He took his talent and his skill sets and turned it into something that legitimately changed the face for me, people who came after him, if you want to know the truth, from marketability and all those things. He blazed a trail that made LeBron be able to be who LeBron is and Kobe to be over who Kobe is. You know what I'm saying? He was the first person to be marketed at that level. So I've never felt at any single point of time that anybody who achieves success ever has to give Black people anything. And I'm tired of that mentality, because the sad part is almost all of those people do something. That's the thing. But to think that they owe you something is where I think it's so not fair. People still try to roast LeBron, and when I tell you LeBron's work is stellar to me off the court, he doesn't just put kids through school, starting his own school he has, and puts you through college. Oh, and now you can get a master's. He had enough to say that I want to break generational poverty apart. So while those kids are in grade school, he went back into the homes and did job skills training, education with parents. So those kids, when they become successful, are not trying to uphold their entire family. You know what I mean? He gets it. But yet people always constantly want to criticize him. It's never enough. It's never enough for some people. Michael Jordan, when he won that lawsuit here against Dominic, didn't even take the money. Mm-hmm. I think he picked 3 different organizations in Chicago and gave the money to him and kept going. Here's the thing. Michael Jordan's, you know what? He carries a big stick, but he's quiet. He's like his dad. He's never been a very vocal person. Here's the thing, about people who are legitimately true and at the core of who they are. They don't feel the need to get attention for what they're doing. They don't go, look at me over here. Look at how much money I gave. Look at what I'm doing. No, they just do what they do because it comes from a place of helping other people sincerely. And Michael Jordan's very empathetic, but it doesn't seem that way to people because of how he was when he was a player. He had to be that person. You know what I'm saying? Because of the criticism, the level of pressure. But it's so easier for people to judge who have never been there. And that's why I'm like, I can't even begin to understand. All I know is I always liked him. That was just a thing. And I never thought he was arrogant. People hated him. I'm like, look, most of the people who hate just never quite got to where he was. But I've always, even in North Carolina, he went back and he opened up a medical center.
2.
It was 1. Now it's 2. I like that he bought the team. And like you said, he started opening up opportunities and training programs for people of color to be able to get into sports. My thing is, what more do you want him to do? He doesn't have to do anything else, but you always have some person. And my first question, the people who throws the first stone, your friend, Shawn, the first question I'm asking him is, what exactly have you done besides flap your lips? Where is your time and energy and commitment been? What have you given back? People are so busy judging other people. But my thing is, even if you're not a millionaire, do you know within your own community you can still be giving back? Whether it's mentorship, whether it's, doing something that's politically based, whether it's working with homeless populations, whether it's working with felons who are released, who we already know their backs are against the wall to go back. And Florida is one of those industrial prison complexes because they pretty much contract out their prison systems. So they're publicly traded. People make money. There's 30 states that are publicly traded. They're run by like these two key companies that make money off of filling beds with people when they break the law for small things. So my thing is, while you're criticizing one person's effort and work, what are you doing? What are you doing? You should be judging anybody else. And that's where I've grown tired of people. Don't ever tell me who he is, because I will roast his ass like, a peanut, seriously. Because people get judgy about other people's stuff and their money. Please, if I'm wealthy, please don't come to me and tell me what to do with my money, because I made it and I get to do with what I want to do with it. And the reason that Black people have never managed to get further than where we have is because we keep waiting for someone to come and save us. Not everybody. Because some of us get how to keep moving, not stopping, not waiting for the hand-me-out, not waiting for the savior. People criticize Obama and say he didn't do enough. I said, you know what? I wasn't huge about Obama. I said, but here's the bottom line. The people who got stuff during his presidency, you know what I got it? The LGBTQ immigration groups put together legislation, brought it to be passed in bills. They pushed it through. Black people thought Obama should just do everything and the situation was supposed to change. Well, that's what your Black caucus was supposed to do, but they didn't do anything. So when people notice people who are successful, stop asking people to do things for them. You notice a pattern of behavior with people who are successful? They're doers. They're not askers. They're not just takers. So if you're expecting for Michael Jordan to save all Black folks, I hate to tell you this, it's not going to happen. Just like it wasn't going to happen for Obama. People say that Beyonce and Jay-Z don't do enough. You know how much work they're doing? I mean, but sometimes you got to do a little work for yourself.
So we went back and forth on it, and he does a lot. My buddy, he does a lot. He just had a big donation to some HBCU. I forgot. He posted that on.
Great. What did he post about it for?
But that's exactly. But my thought is this: is like, wait a minute, you can't, just because he's got more money than you, doesn't mean he needs to proportionately give the amount that you gave. So if
we're not tithing,
and exactly
this isn't church.
And that's the whole thing. Is I'm like, listen, man, like he does a lot for people. It might not be a lot for you, but you don't know all the things he does. But again, because he's not the type of person that. He's not the type of person that, if it wasn't a medical center and it's opening up. I mean, obviously the news had to be there. The news had to be there because it's a medical center. But
people knew about it in North Carolina because the news was heavy there, and it kind of trickled out afterwards in other people. Just like what LeBron doing was Akron, it kind of trickled out a little bit later what he was doing and some of his other projects. So it takes longer for it to be national. But again, if I'm doing something, I don't have to yell it to the world. Look what I did. Well, when people are like that, I was like, good for you. Do you want a cookie? That you decided you wanted to be kind and help other people, because that's what we all should be doing. Little or a lot, it doesn't matter. If you change one life, that's enough. You don't have to change millions, but if you impact one person's life and you change that one person to be the next person and the next person, and that's how it works. But when people just want to throw shade like that and judge other people, I would ask you, what exactly is this coming from? Now, here's my thing. If you really feel so strongly about this, then why don't you start some form of a collective where you say, hey, let's try to do more as a group. No one really ever does this because, Black people, we don't work well together.
No.
That's why we still where we at. Everybody else knows how to work well together. For some reason, we struggle with the work well together thing. So, well, I'm just calling it what it is. But if you feel that way, just get some people together and say, let's work together. Let's pool our resources. Because remember, that's one of the things that, and he was an asshole, but he went off. The guy who owned the Clippers, Donald
Sterling,
he brought that up. And people looked past it because what he said was bigger than that. But I was like, I heard you. I know exactly what you're saying because I watch Latinos do it. I watch Polish immigrants do it. I watch
Asian mugs do it.
Asian people do it.
They don't play around.
Jewish people do it. I watch everybody do it. And mind you, I do know some Black people in Chicago that are working collectively together. So I don't want to make it seem like I'm making a blanket statement, but it's not to maybe the level that I see other groups of people do it. But there are people in Chicago, I can't speak for other cities, that are trying to get together to be impactful. And I like that energy. I like it. And here's the thing. They're not out there talking about it. They're like, hey, but if you want to bring somebody in, here's what we're doing. We're doing this. We're doing that. I'm like, sure. How can I help? What can I do? That's my thing. I'm not going to criticize like you guys need more, FaceTime. You need to tell people about what you're doing. Only tell people about what you're doing if it's advantageous to maybe get something more for your cause, but not for the reason to get credit for your cause, so to speak. So when people are like that, I hate when people judge other people's merits. I just think that's like low. It's like, I think you need to go have a self-esteem checkout, because I think
I told him, I was like, you know what I said? It sounds like you're a little salty from Michael knocking your Knicks out of the playoffs and stopping you from winning a championship back in the 90s. That's what it sounds like. I'm like, oh,
oh yeah, good, right below the belt. I like it. Yeah, but I just don't. But you hear that so much from people, and I hate it when they really try to discount other people's work.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't feel that Michael Jordan is not, everything you do is from the goodness of his heart. He doesn't owe anybody anything. Nobody gave him anything. LeBron doesn't owe anybody anything. But I think he's thankful, and they're both thankful because people came along in their lives that made a difference, so to speak. And they're not remiss from that. Kobe was the same way, even though he never wanted for anything, but he always realized sharing and giving. And I always say this too about Kobe. When Kobe died, all of a sudden there were so many Kobe lovers. Do you know how many people dogged Kobe out when he was alive? Talked about him like they talked about LeBron. All of a sudden he died, so now he was a legend before that. But all of a sudden now everyone's, oh my God, Kobe. I'm like, he was too good. He was a goody goody. He was this. He was that. Oh, now everybody's in love with Kobe. I was like, you know what? But that's just the human.
He wasn't gangster enough. He wasn't.
Yeah.
He was a rich kid from the burbs of Philadelphia, and he's not real. He don't got any street cred, and and they talk, and it's like, it doesn't matter if you got street cred. It matters, street cred doesn't matter on the basketball court. Do you have basketball court cred? That's what you have. And Kobe had that.
But by the way, who's the only group of people talking that kind of smack?
Us.
Only us. Always focusing on the things that don't matter. So quick to tear somebody down, opposed to build them up, opposed to being supportive. I'd rather tear you up, talk bad about you, dog you out, even though you're doing good things, because that's what. It's a crab in a barrel mentality that we've never really addressed because we rather focus on other things.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I pissed somebody off, but I really don't care.
Well, again, I'm happy that he did that and helped these guys.
That's like super cool. I mean, like, because Florida is always up to some BS. Real talk.
I think
Florida is always up to some BS, and I'm glad that was found to be unconstitutional. But the fact that they stepped in. And I guarantee you, Shawn, even with that, they're probably not even going to stop there, because what's really missing, and I don't know if LeBron will think about it, if Michael will think about it, because somebody probably brought it to their attention. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, guys, that somebody knew somebody who brought that to their, because you wouldn't usually, I didn't know that. So they probably wouldn't, somebody brought that to their attention, and they're like, okay, we can do this. Now, I hope those people they pay for, they better have voted. But what I hope somebody would say, especially in regards to felons, they really need help. If you want to help them break the cycle, because I see this all the time. People get out of prison and have no idea what to do. And there is no reintegration program, regardless of what they tell you exists. Even in the industrial prison complex, they'll say we got programs. It's a lie. Even from a mental health standpoint, you know how many people will tell me that they were medicated when they were incarcerated, but they discharged them with no mental health services and no medication? Just all of a sudden you were treating me while I was locked up, so I probably could be agreeable. But now you've taken that away from me, knowing that I have a mental health issue, to set me back up for failure. You know what I mean?
I can go right back in.
So I can go right back at it. When I say
keep that bed filled,
I'm gonna say this: I know everybody can't be saved, but at least everybody deserves a chance to be saved. You know what I mean? And if it doesn't work, hey, I tried. But that's a population that really is in dire straits.
One of the other things you talk about, cool. John Lester's freaking cool. So John Lester, the Cubs didn't pick up his option, and he became a free agent.
Not surprised.
No, definitely not at $16.5 million, I believe it was. But so what does he do? Wow, Ivan. Look at this guy, huh?
I don't know if that's a approval of the measure, or if that's it's Cub talk time because you talk too much Sox time. I'm not sure.
It's a mixture of both. It's a mixture.
Okay. I kind of had a vibe that it might be, but okay.
So John Lester, as a show of concern, or as a thank you to Chicago Cubs fans, decided to buy. He spent $47,000 on beers for Chicago fans in his possible farewell. So what he did was he said, here's what he said. It said, regardless of what's next I want to thank the fans for the past 6 years. So this weekend, October 30th through November 1st, I'm buying y'all. Where did that go? I'm buying y'all one. Where did that just? Oh, I'm buying y'all my favorite beer. Make a reservation at Hopsmith Chicago, the Lodge Tavern, Bush McGuire's, and Shenanigans. And your first Miller Lite is on me. Just tell them, put it on John's tab.
He bought them Miller Lite.
Bought him a Miller Lite, and he ended up, and for the weekend, and then he says, thanks for coming out this weekend, y'all. Yesterday, we added 1,372 Miller Lites to my tab, bringing our grand total to 4,838 beers.
Okay.
Shout out to all the bars, their staff, and those cheering from afar, whether this is goodbye or see you next year. I love you, Chicago.
And he's just like, I got friends in low places, though they think they're high. You know what? Here's what I wish. Okay, not criticizing his action because it was super cool. But you know what I wish he would have done for the little guy? I wish he would have found some microbreweries and did something with them to kind of help push business. Miller Lite doesn't need to be sold, but those microbreweries could use a little help. That would have been kind of cool. But I'm not. You know what? I think it's cool what he did. I'm not knocking it. Just it would have been an extra layer of super coolness had he worked either with a Chicago, like Goose Island.
What is that? Ivan, what is this?
Well, that's Jason.
I know.
Who popped in the background? Who I don't know where he is.
No, I think this is in Hawaii. I don't know what that is. I think he might be in Hawaii.
I don't know
why you put him up, but
I don't know where he is. He made a comment.
I just saw the picture in my feed. I was like, oh.
When you hit the feed, it popped up. Oh,
no, when I went to the brand and I was just looking at the pictures. I was going to go pick something else to kind of mock the White Sox.
I was like, oh, hey, Jason. Okay, rubbing in that you're someplace warm and sunny, but the weather is still good. So I do want to know where he is though, because I can't place it. I'm looking like, well, obviously it's someplace not in the U.S. And I'm like, you left the country in the mid of COVID-19 and went someplace. What's wrong with you?
Well, he popped in and then
he did, and then he left.
He tiptoed in and then just dropped the pick and left.
But so I think it would have been cool if he had worked with a Chicago brewery, because Goose Island is Chicago, right? So it would have been super cool if he would have done the 3-1-2, But they did kind of endorse the Sox on that one, so maybe that's why he didn't do it. They had a Sox can.
Yeah.
But if he would have maybe picked some, that would have been. I'm not knocking his effort because it's still super cool, but I just thought it would have been even cooler. I
guess he just wanted to have all the fans, and I don't know how many microbreweries are up and down Clark Street. It was all those big ones. So he wanted guys at Wrigleyville, so that's cool.
Help the little man. They could use a little boost right about now. But yeah, that is cool. I think that's his way of kind of saying goodbye.
Yeah,
I think maybe he feels like it's the end for him here. And I'll say it, he gave them a lot while he was here. It's too bad it didn't turn into more than what it was, because at one point he kind of became their anchor. No, he was their anchor at one point. I like, and he spoke his mind too. I like John Lester. He would speak his mind.
If he's not the best free agent signing in Chicago history, it's in the top two, because I think Hossa is up there as well.
Oh, I was about to say no. Hossa would be the best free agent signing.
Oh yeah, because they won 3. So yeah, so I guess Hossa would be number one.
And here's the thing. And when he left, you knew he was gone.
Yeah. So it's but it's in the second, in the second best free agent signing, it helped break a 108-year curse. So I'm happy for him. I don't think he's coming back to the north side. But it was a great run while it lasted. He was a bulldog for the Cubs.
Yes, he was.
And he delivered on what he was brought here to do.
He did.
He delivered on what he was brought here to do. And when you that's the biggest flex in life. When you do what you say you're going to do, that's the biggest flex. And his job was to come and help this team win a World Series, and he did. And so, and you're right. He was ornery. He always looks like he was in a bad mood. Never happy, and I thought that was really, really, really cool. Well, man, 3 hours has come and gone. Unbelievable, Maya.
Yeah,
good having you back. Good having you back, baby.
It was good to be back. We got to kind of catch up and fill in these 3 hours, so it was good.
Yeah. I want to thank our guest, Joseph Phillips. He's on every show from the Chicago Crusader for sitting in with us in the top of the morning segment. I want to thank Lauren Cox from the Locked On Bears podcast for calling in and talking little Bears with us. I want to thank our producer himself, Ivan Vargas. I want to thank our technical director, Elia Baez, our social media guru, Clarence Council III, and of course, seeing her lovely face again, my co-host, the co-pilot in this insanity, Maya Kai. Good to guy. You guys made it a phenomenal show, and it was awesome. It went by like in a heartbeat.
It did. It was good.
But now I'm hungry. I got to go eat.
Yes,
I didn't eat pancakes like somebody else.
Well, I had to fight to eat pancakes, but that's another story. Yeah. All right. Well, guys, until obviously next time for me, $2.
So that's my co-host Maya, and for Ivan Vargas.
I'll see y'all later.
Guys, I'm your boy, the Superback Shawn Sierra. Remember, download the app, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and like us on Facebook, our Facebook page. Until then, we out.
Deuces.